What is happening, everybody? Welcome back to that every other Wednesday night on Three Star Draw. I am down south 77, and with me, as always, is my brother to the north.
Crusty old crow.
There you go. we usually try to rehearse this to start, but we completely skipped that tonight, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, well, what is going on, man? Anything new in your world happening today? Everything good?
No, everything's been situation normal. It's just it's dealing with the kids' school more than anything lately. So I haven't been able to get a whole lot of content stuff done this week, but it'll get there. Waiting to see what else comes out on the next wave and see if we'll get a video out of that. What about you?
Like, seeing as how you've already got like most of the next wave, especially the one that I really want, because you just showed me the box for it backstage. Um, yeah, no, just chilling. I'm not hadn't gotten anything. I got one thing. Talk about that. I got Nemesis. He's sitting over here chilling, but not a lot's been going on. It's pretty quiet around here. I did, before I completely forget it, I did actually hit a milestone this week that I have not mentioned anywhere, and I completely forgot to do anything about it. Oh, yeah, I don't know about all that. Tuesday wasn't that kind of milestone. So Tuesday was my 1 year anniversary of having a YouTube channel.
Oh, right on, man. Happy you day. I don't know. What do you call that?
Me day, me too day, so whatever. Yeah, I don't. I just I knew it was around the 1st of November, and I looked and I forgot what day. And yesterday, I'm like, wasn't that year anniversary coming up? And I looked at it, and it was the 4th. Like, well, I guess the time has passed to make a post about it, so I'll just mention it next time I'm live.
That's I mean, a lot of guys would understand. That's not just any small deal if you're doing it. It's just you have your list of milestones, and a lot of guys are like 1 year, 500, 1 year, 200, things like that. So that's cool.
Yeah. I don't think I had anything in store or planned for a year goal when I started it out, but I will say if I had of, I will have passed it. I'm not like it was not very lofty, so I'm just glad to still be doing it. Before we get too far into it, let's go ahead and say hi to our chat. We got a few people watching. Yep. Crimson Cobra Commander was first in here. How's it going, everyone? Yo, Joe. Cobra. Say Cobra. And we got Woody Triple Deuce, the Figure Addict. Yo, fellas. What's happening, Woody? We got Turk Murphy's Toy Solutions is here. Let's see. Bobby Wald has joined us. We will definitely talk about that.
I have one for you.
Yep, we're definitely, I'm gonna star that, so don't forget about it. We are definitely gonna be talking about that. Joe Fan 84 is here. What's happening, brother? Same Time Toys. A Punk with Toys has joined us tonight. Hello, Lawrence. Hello, fools. His classic "Hello, fools." You can hear that in Cobra Commander's voice.
Drag it, yes.
Fools. Yeah, fools. You fools. Sean Jones is here. What's going on, man? Oh, let's see. Scroll down through here. Roman Graham is here. How you doing, man? Good to see you here. Thank you for coming in. Punk says I have no clue of my anniversary. Well, I just went back and looked at the first video. Nobody watch it either. I mean, it's terrible. So I know that's one thing that Punk tells us is like, he never took anything down, and you can go back and watch the growth and the progress. And that's what I intended to do. But that first one's awful.
Yeah, I would never watch anything I did for the first year.
I started when I went back. I went back to check it, and I'm like, yeah, let's go back and take a look at this. Let's take a look. And I got like 15 seconds in, and it was a mole rat review. I wanted to make that my first one, and it's like, yeah, I can't finish it. But Lunchbox Killer 805 is here. How you
All right.
doing?
This was your first review?
That was my first one.
I would have lost Vegas odds on that being your first review. I thought you were earlier in the line when you started doing reviews than that.
Nope, I was earlier in the line to collecting, but not that was when I made the decision to start the channel up for sure. Pop Blender just finally pushed me enough, and I was like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna do it. What's the worst that could happen? And it was with that figure. I liked it so much. That was the one that made me decide to go ahead and do a review, and then all their arms started falling off.
Yeah.
Todd C is here. Shane
Todd?
back in an hour, stuck at work on my day off. At least hopefully you're getting overtime.
Don't miss Todd C's mention to that pimp ass chain you're sporting there tonight, there, buds.
I figured that we were talking about Destro, so I figured I'd take it off the mic, and I had to put something else on the mic too. So if you spot that, let's see. Joe Fan's supposed to get my Longbow Ghost and comic tomorrow. Cool. I saw those were starting to come out. I didn't back it, but people seem to like them. War Chest Full of Toys is here. What's up, nerds? Matthew Matson might ninja kick you over that. I think that's his line. Let's see though. See Roman Graham. Yeah, I love that.
Well, Roman's been with my channel and probably your channel since like the very beginning. So he remembers the basic vids, but yeah, they were fun and we always got to revisit those, man. Always.
Yeah. And like as you learn more about this and what you're doing and you get a little more comfortable with everything, especially like editing.
That's the big one. Yeah.
Yeah, you go back and if you do look at my early stuff, like there's no editing. The sound is awful. And I finally figured out why the sound was so bad in a lot of my early videos because I was not double checking my settings on my computer and it would default. And my webcam has its own mic and it would default to the webcam mic. And that is why they sounded so tinny and so bad. And I was way in before I figured out that I needed to always double check my settings on my mic and make sure is this mic and not that mic.
Yeah.
So as you learn stuff like that, and then you try to do some editing and stuff, they get a little better. Hopefully, most of the time, I feel like mine have. So.
And and it raises a good question because it's something I've talked to Roman before and other guys on my streams and whatnot. But revisiting the old concepts, the ones that you really liked, but you weren't editing at the time, or you were too new to doing things that you wish you could do it over again. I mean, I'd be curious. Like, there's a lot of guys that run the channel. I know Punk's in there right now. I know Triple C's out there, Same Time Toys, Woody 222, yourself, myself. I mean, does anybody, ever think about just going back through their catalog going, I'm going to do that one again? Because that's what I'm feeling.
I might go back and do like that first one over. And I don't think I'd delete the original, but I might like repost it as like here's a special edition of that original review and try to spruce it up a little bit. Like it still sucks, but now there's editing magic with stuff spliced in around it and proper audio. You redub it like a Japanese movie.
Well, I mean, you could go back to a time where you held up like, I don't know, a Scarlet and said, this is the worst figure of the line. And you could be like, that guy had no idea what was coming.
Yeah, that guy had no idea that you're going to open boxes with arms off and you're going to be cursed with loose ankles and all that kind of stuff. So
a Nemesis Immortal with spinal dysphoria.
He's got He's got wasteitis is what he's got. He's got something in his guts is not connected properly is what it feels like. So we'll talk about him whenever you want to talk about him. We'll talk about him.
I don't have him. You're the host that has them. So it's when you talk, I'm listening. It's just I have theories as to why it kind of didn't turn out, but that's all they are.
Well, I mean, we can go ahead and we can talk about him a little bit. I don't really have I hadn't kept up with any kind of news or really anything this week at all. So I don't know. I have no slides for it. Like I hadn't kept up with anything. All I keep hearing is what everybody else is hearing is the dragonflies are coming. So whenever
England
when I see it, UK, Leanne Hobbs, that lady that does all the awesome photography, she put a shot on Instagram and I saw it on Facebook later. She got hers and it was such all of her pictures are so good, but it was like it had landed and it was all in perspective, of course, and it's like sunset kind of sky behind it and Wild Bill walking away from it.
Yeah, the Top Gun kind of shot, right?
Yes, yeah, it was very, very, very Top Gun.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, go ahead, point it out.
I just saw Punk. He says, I don't have time to go back and redo some review of something no one cares about. I think he means cares about it anymore. And I agree. Reviews is, but we just mean like content. And Punk, I use an example like, say 3 years from now, you want to go and do a reversion of your ghillie suit because there's 4 more ghillie suits on the market, right? You go back to your ghillie suit video and you realize, well, I kind of put a lot of focus on this. And then, that's the kind of revisiting I was talking about. Reviews are reviews, right? But
I mean, like you couldn't, because you're not going to have that first impression again, of it.
Yeah.
But especially with the type of not the type, but the amount of stuff that Punk reviews, he wouldn't have time just to go back and be like, oh, look, remember this old video I did? I made it better. And he doesn't do that much editing anyway.
And maybe that's the relevance of it. Like just to point out the elephant in the room, Punk's a larger channel. And maybe as you grow, that feeling goes away because you're more confident in the content you're turning out and less concerned about what you've put behind you, right? So, it's a valid point either way.
Absolutely. Crimson Cobra Commander saw the first review on YouTube for the Dragonfly. Yes, unfortunately, none of us were first, but that's usually how it goes. I have not watched any. I'm not going to watch any. I've seen some pictures of people getting them and kind of taking them out and stuff, but I'm even really trying to avoid a lot of the pictures because I'm going to do a video on it. It's not going to be any kind of groundbreaking whatever, just like everything else. It's my take on it when I get it. But I'm trying to avoid the reviews and the videos. Yeah,
and look, I bought the Hiss after Joe Fest this last summer. Like I was that late to the game on the Hiss HasLab. And I'm a smaller channel, right? Small, right? And that Hiss still got over 1,000 some odd views pretty quickly, right? Just HasLabs are a different kind of beast. So it's really what somebody's bringing out to the table. And quite honestly, I think it's all about the thumbnail. Really, after it's new for a while, then it's about what you're putting on the thumbnail, I think.
Yeah. And of course, that's advice that we got. That's some advice that I got from Punk was, make sure you got good thumbnails. And I'm still working on that because a lot of times when I do them, I don't want to spend an hour making a damn thumbnail. So that's just the way my time constraints are with what I do. So, and Crow made tonight's thumbnail. I made a temporary one and he made our good one.
But you actually have the gift for it. And I wanted to concede to you tonight. And I forgot to mention it before the show. I was like, until further notice, you do these because I was having such problems remembering the formatting of what StreamYard lets put in that space, right? So, but
you can add it, like you can go in and edit it on YouTube and add it on YouTube too. but
Yeah.
it's still got to be the same like YouTube size, like 16:9 size. War Chest said should be any day. My cousin got his today, and he's in Salt Lake City. So somebody in Salt Lake City has gotten one, and I haven't really seen any videos of people like in California that I know, that have gotten them. So it's weird. We're not going to debate on Hasbro's weird shipping. So, but
It's a bad race to bet on. Yeah, it's just
yeah.
no.
Yeah, so it's coming. Like, we'll get it. We'll get it when we get it. But hey, they're ahead of schedule because it's not December yet.
That's right. You're gonna get your first Dragonfly video from this continent from somewhere in like Nunavut or Alaska.
Right? It's gonna be like, yeah, it's good helicopter.
Got a flashlight.
Yep. I like what Joe Fan says. I only do unboxing mail videos for my son. He watches at his mom's to see what I got. Calls me after. Yeah, that is nice.
That's a great reason. I like that.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. I do like that.
That doesn't escape me. I've thought about that from time to time, and I think I've had other discussions with other guys about it. It's just, that's another reason why you kind of stick with the YouTube. If you've got a kid, you're like, if I ever pass, you could watch all that, reconnect with your old man. There's always that little angle, right? So,
yeah, I'll be with you forever on the YouTubes.
Yeah, and you can watch me drop figures forever.
The same figures. So, so what's going on, Wraith Mace? Let's see. Reading through, Wraith Mace is finishing up a review on Crashbox Custom 1/12 custom shipping container with the sneak peek at classified hit and run. Somebody must have got the Halo jumper.
Finished the classified customs one. Sneak peek at the classified hit and run. Okay. Sorry, I was slow to understand that, but yeah, because what is a Crashbox Customs? Finish up the review on Crashbox Customs.
It's a company, and I think they do like diorama type stuff. I think Rafe put it in the chat and let us know.
I'm just gonna have to go watch it, I guess.
Yeah, just have to watch it. Well, I mean, it's
nice comment.
It's gonna be in like 8K, and everything will be perfect. So he's probably got another 14-20 hours on finishing it up because Rafe ain't gonna put it out unless it is spot on perfect.
Yeah. No, he does
Roman
it right.
Graham, absolutely. Roman Graham. Anybody checked out the Monster Force? I've checked out 2 of them. I have 2. They're nice. They were worth the wait. I'd like to see them be about $3 cheaper, but they're very nice figures. I'd recommend picking up at least 1 just to check them out. 2, like one of the good guys, Dracula or Van Helsing, and then pick any one of the bad guys. I've got the Sleepwalker Heavy Weapons Division, and I've got Van Helsing. Van Helsing is a very awesome figure, so I'd recommend it.
Yeah, and like there's tons of reviews out there on Monster Force right now, so just dip into any of the channels within the last couple of months, and you'll see a lot of guys singing the praises, right? I wonder who he's talking about. I know it's not us. I know who he's talking about.
I think I know who he's talking about too. Somebody when he don't get stuff first gets very moody when he doesn't get everything first. But he's a friend of ours, he's a friend of ours. Conhuesos, what is going on? I titled it Questions from the Ashes because I had to come up with something, and there were some some ashes. So this is rising from ashes, I guess. So that's why I titled it that way before we knew everything that we were going to talk about for sure. And I'm lazy and I didn't go back and put Destro and Nemesis and all that in there. So the same thing with my other thumbnail. It was kind of a placeholder for a battlefield. Joe Fan, more and more people watching my stuff. Cool. Some like it, like to meet new people. Yeah, that's good. It just builds and grow it, organically, and that's how it grows. And then you meet people, you come in chats, and those people watch your stuff, and it kind of expands. So yeah, good. Glad that you're getting some views on there.
Yeah, man. It's always good to have friends out here, right? Like, just it's always good to have friends.
Oh yeah, yep. Friends of ours, friends are good. Let's see. Crimson Cobra Commander, the general from Monster Force. Yeah, he'll be. Let's enjoy the ones we got, because it's probably gonna be this time next year before we get any more. I've got 2 so far pre-ordered from that wave, and like 3 of the Crimson Moon guys that they're doing for the. I don't know. It's not really Monster Force, but it ties into it because some of these guys are Crimson Moon too. But that's the one that they did that's got basically it's Hooded Cobra Commander, but it's in red. That dude. So I've got him and Dr. Caligari ordered so far from Wave 2 and Donner Party. Those guys look really neat. The ones that are in Wave 2 look more interesting than what we got in Wave 1, because the giant werewolf dude with the minigun, was it Kilowarg, big deluxe figure dude. He's coming in Wave 2.
Yeah, I saw the plugs for it, but I didn't see the name, how they spelt that. So Kilowarg?
I think it's Kilowarg, I believe. What was you gonna say?
Oh, why is so my banner? I keep forgetting to change the banner since the punk stream, and I didn't even finish deleting it. The kids are. Well, they are.
I was looking at it, and I know. And I knew you. What it was? The kids are still there.
No, the kids are 100 meters away as required by law.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it was supposed to be the kids are all right.
Yeah, that's right. That's what it was. And I noticed that you went back and you took the end of it off, and I thought maybe maybe he's just gonna go back. No, the kids just are like they're.
It doesn't show up like that when I sign into StreamYard. It's just like, do you want to be called Crow? I'm like, sure. What else? And then they're like, okay, you're on. And then this thing shows up. I'm like, motherfucker.
they're like Schrodinger's kids. They both are and they are not. They're just there.
Yeah, and your guys' StreamYard doesn't sound like that. Like, hey, come here.
Yeah,
right.
I don't know, Bobby. They all run together. Maybe I don't remember it. Seems like I would remember Exterminator. Yeah. If he's called the Exterminator, because I am an exterminator, so seems like I would order that one just for the hell of it.
So Kilowog.
What's up, Liquid? Kilowog.
Okay, so Kilowog, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't that the big tough alien in the Green Lantern Corps from DC Comics? Was that not a Kilowog?
That's where I've heard that.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel like I've heard this name.
That is definitely Kilowog with one L. Because I just looked it up.
Okay.
I think it's Warg. I'm going to look.
Warg? I don't know, because Warg is a 40K term for war. So, I mean, I could see somebody ever simulating it, and it's aggressive, but I don't know. Let's find it.
Okay. He is Kilo Warg, just like Kilowog, but with an R.
So, ORG. Kilo Warg.
Kilowog. He said, I didn't realize he sold out, and they also pushed it. Oh no, they didn't push it back. Fourth quarter 2024. I think they actually moved it up.
It looked like he jacked up like a bunch of classified and Marvel characters for their kit, man. He's got like some classified claws, Stalker's pants, a Marvel trench coat, Punisher's bullets, like Wakanda.
Yeah.
Like he's killed everything.
Like he really has. Like
there's Gung Ho's belt.
Yeah, he should come with the Predator skull.
Yeah. No, that looks badass.
Yeah. So he's got the Predator blade.
Yeah. I like the collar on the jacket.
Yeah. And from what we've seen out of these guys so far, like it's the jacket. That jacket is gonna be badass. Like how Hawk's jacket looks with 100 times more detail.
So I don't follow Monster Force clearly. Like I didn't get on that clearly good train to get on when I was there, and now I have the regrets. But is there an alternate figure for this in his human form? Is this somebody that already existed in the line, or could we expect a human version of this guy at some point with the same jacket?
I don't know. No, I mean they've not announced it, but
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if this dude is supposed to be just his own monster or if he even has a human form.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. That's a really great werewolf, though. For God's sakes, I don't think I've seen a better werewolf.
Yeah, look at that shit, man. Well, he's got Blaine's gun. He took Blaine out too from Predator. Got Blaine's gun, just getting ready to got old Painless, getting ready to lay waste to everybody. And I believe if Punk is still listening, he will know these weapons, I think starting in wave 2 are the ones that Gridiron's going to start doing. I might be wrong about that. They didn't do the wave 1 weapons, but I think like these guys starting with him, maybe he's still wave 1 and they didn't do these because he's coming this year.
Yeah.
Not sure, but either way, I mean, even though they're not Gridiron, like the weapons in wave 1 are really fantastic looking. So
just go back to that last image. I don't think I'm newer to collecting toys, clearly, man, but can you think of another line off the top of your head that's ever provided you with an alternate groin and leg, like thigh pieces like that? I can't think of one.
No.
No.
I can't. So
that's a unique thing to me.
Yeah, nothing off the top of my head that I can think of that has. So I mean, so you swap him out, like you take he's got the vest instead of the jacket, and then
I know why.
Straight werewolf instead of.
Yeah, you could make a pack for him. You know, you could troop build this werewolf.
Oh yeah, and that's how most of their army builders are. Like you could buy 4 of the same figure and none of them would look the same unless you wanted them to. There's enough stuff there that you could just kind of get crazier and crazier with the designs, because the shadow dude, Sleepwalker, he comes with 6 hoses. Like, you know, you can set him up in so many ways.
Sure.
And I've got mine kind of looking like the front of the box for him, but all of this, like this pipe and all of this stuff, this is all separate pieces, so you can make it do, you know, whatever you want. Yeah. And that's kind of the way that they're going with a lot of this line is the customization. You're getting you buy 2 figures and you can heavily customize them with everything that comes in the box and not have the same figure.
Yeah,
say what's up, Kiwi.
Yeah, and I saw Woody's comment on there about 5K and another line, Fury Toys, that are doing that. So like I said, I'm newer to the lines, but it's just, that to me was a very interesting piece to throw in to switch things up. I don't,
Okay. Yep. And say what's up to Frank Dumont. How you doing, buddy? Hey, thanks for stopping in. And Punk says he doesn't think that's a Gridiron. They had that at PowerCon, and that was before they started working together. So I wasn't sure. So either way, it looks pretty badass. So looking forward to and I didn't order any, sold out now. So we'll see how the stock comes in and out with these guys. Let's see. Let's look and see let's see. I haven't looked for a while to see if any of them are sold out.
Did we see Kiwi Customs and Turk Murph are here too? Did we say hi to those guys?
Hey guys. Just said hi to Kiwi, and Turk's been here.
Oh, sorry, I must have been glitched.
They did drop the shirts. They got shirts for it now.
Okay.
And that one is not something I think that I would probably get, but I like this one with the Forgotten King on it.
Mm-hmm.
You can't blow it up, but that's him sitting on a throne in front of a bloody pool of skulls. That's right up my alley. And that's the front, and the back's got the Monster Force logo. So that's a pretty cool looking shirt, man. I like my t-shirts.
Yeah, and I mean, I have t-shirts. Like I'm getting older. I'm less and less of a shirt guy, more and more of a sweater because it's cold, right? But
It's because you're getting old. You gotta
that's
have a
right.
sweater.
So the t-shirts. But I mean, the odd t-shirt, I don't even have a problem just hanging it on a wall for art, man. It's just like
Oh
that's
yeah,
a cool design, man. Fold her up and put her in a box.
yeah. I mean, if it's a good looking design on the shirt, so.
Mm-hmm.
It does not look like any of these guys that shipped with the Wave 1 figures have sold out. I was wondering how the stock on these guys would be. There's two more that I definitely want to order from Wave 1. I'd like to get them all, but I can't. $37 a pop. I cannot
Yeah.
afford all of these guys.
I
So
just did the conversion to Canadian, and it's just that's a special treat.
yeah, oh yeah, and I ordered two because I wanted to see the quality and see what they look like, and because of the price point, I didn't want them to be janky, and I just spent over $70 on two figures I don't like. But fortunately, that's not the case. So how do we get off talking about Monster Force anyway? Oh, somebody asked. That's right.
Yeah.
And
Well, as a matter
yeah.
of fact.
It turns out it was my fault. Roman
okay.
Graham, that looks like a repaint of the veteran William werewolf. It does look a lot like it. I don't have veteran William, but I mean I've seen it. It's Matthew Matson uses it in a lot of his pictures. It's like his favorite figure. It does look a lot like it, but I have not took a picture of them side by side and compared it. But he is a really good looking figure, and so's veteran William. I looked into getting a veteran William figure, and then I looked it up. Like, I don't need veteran William that bad. That's a pretty expensive damn figure.
Yeah,
but he is
no, Bobby. We're not going to go back to looking them up. I'm looking at them right now. Now that you're looking them up, you should look at the Exterminator. No.
Well, I do have it still pulled up. I just don't have it on the screen.
Son of a bitch. All right, do it. I'm curious now.
And
it's an Exterminator. You've been talking about it.
I gotta go. Oh no, that's not the right guy. Now see, he's got me all messed up. Fresh Monkey Fiction. They have a lot of stuff that's not just these guys.
What he's saying that is the veteran William Buck.
Is it?
Yeah. Okay. Well, he's seconding the motion, so in any vote, that's probably going to pass.
Well, if you say so. Well, yeah.
Well, I don't know how your elections work, but
I guess it probably does, doesn't it?
Two people decide, I think.
So so I did actually see this dude. That's the Exterminator. I know, again, I keep talking about Matthew because we're talking about werewolves. I know this is one guy that he likes. He's ordered all of these, I think he said. And he comes with a ton of stuff. He's got a jetpack, man. He's a werewolf with a jetpack.
Jetpack for some reason. It's just so Rocketeer, right? It's campy as hell, so you love it, right?
He's coming. Look. And down here, these guys are definitely got the gridiron on the box for him down here. It comes really nice looking AK-47, but I mean it's gridiron, so you know what you're getting there. You're already getting some quality with it. Yeah. But that guy looks neat. I'm not a huge werewolf guy though, but I might have to get him just because he's an Exterminator now.
Yeah, I am. I would picture this a one and done kind of character. I wouldn't troop build them, but with those, I was impressed with the flames for the wrist gauntlets. I was like, that's kind of a cool little ad.
Yeah, all the stuff. So here's the and these. Why are these $37.99 instead of $36.99? How do they know shit's going to be more expensive next year? It might be going down now.
No.
So there's that dude.
Yeah.
So
I mean, there's no denying it's a great looking figure. I want, but it's so on the nose.
Oh yeah, but it really is. I mean, it's like see somebody getting this and painting it blue, but
no, I mean, I think that was always the point. Like, if you're not going to, we will. So, ta-da! And it's incredible. I like the cloak.
Yeah, the cloaks.
Cloaking it. Yeah.
Cloak's gonna be nice. I love the spell book. It's got an open in a closed, or maybe it's two separate ones, or maybe that one opens. Who knows? But anyway, dude looks badass. But this will be one of their, like, I want to say this might be one of their cost cutting figures, but he is also getting a soft goods cloak. So robe, it says. So
Yeah,
maybe.
I mean, like, given what we saw with some of the others and what they're coming with, he does look like he's probably the breather on the financial side for the wave. Like, everybody just cool down on this one, and we'll just take this one a little easy, but it works. Like, it looks smooth, man. But
Yeah. No, but they look good. They use common joints for pop and swap. I don't know. Somebody's taking them apart. I have not. I don't know if they are pop and swap.
If Punk is in the chat, I know he did like pretty much the whole line, and I know he's had more than enough discussions with some of the guys behind the scenes and stuff like that. He might have known if that was something there, Punk, if you're there. If not,
Yeah.
I would just go say watch Punk's video, so I don't know.
Well, he didn't take them apart in his video. I know that.
No,
because he paid $37 a piece too.
Yeah, and that's just it. I don't know if I would even want to pop a swap a figure at that price point just for stress on joints, right? Like, if they could, maybe, but if they weren't designed specifically to do that, I'd be a little concerned.
Well, for me personally, like, I don't do a lot of that anyway, but these guys, I don't need to pop and swap anything on these guys. But then again, I don't do it to my Mythic Legions either, and that's what they're made for. So, let's see what else we got. Roman Graham between Classified Action Force and Monster Force. I'm gonna have to go back to active duty.
Yeah.
You thought about that, Crow?
No.
Nope.
But well, my son's cadet corps needs more officers, so we have an application in, and if they take it, I'll do it. But I will hate every moment of it. I don't like officers.
Right. Well, just remember, they're just kids.
I know. Remember, and I was like, I just did a thing for toys. What else do I owe you, kids?
Let's see. I just hear Punk or Crow and say Punk because you had said Punk, and Crow hollering at him like Arlie Army in Full Metal Jacket.
That's why I was reluctant, but no.
Posing now, Van Helsing's leg comes off easily. I'm guessing not intentionally. I hadn't had that issue with mine. The butterfly joint in his right arm's a little loose, but it's not that big a deal, really. I mean, but I'm used to it, right, with Classified, but it's not that bad. But I hadn't felt like it's going to come out or anything. So let us know how that goes.
Yeah, I think if anybody's done conversions with their 6 inches and taken apart a Classified figure, that first panic you have when you figure, like, I didn't pay attention to how I took the shoulder apart. I think you would feel that 10 times over with this line if you did it.
Oh yeah, for sure. And like, how do I put this thing back together?
Yeah.
War Chest looks like a Moon Knight figure from Wish. He's got the Moon Knight vibe, but he looks way cooler than Moon Knight, and I love Moon Knight.
I think you brought it up once too. Like, he looks like he could stand near those Figure Obscura Bassett and what's his name there? Anubis. Yeah, like you could have him like in the same scenery as them, kind of thing, and get away with it.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, he was an Egyptian, king. So I haven't seen any pictures of it, but I'm sure they're out there. I hadn't seen anybody I know that's done it, but I'm sure somebody has. So let's see. What do we want to get into? We want to talk about.
I know you have a thing that we never mentioned on the thing. We have the Destro, we have the What's Going On with File Cards, and we had the Nemesis that we were kind of bouncing around. So why don't you pick one of those things and we'll just go with it?
Let's go ahead and get Nemesis out of the way. Let's go ahead and talk about him for just a minute. Now I know you didn't get him.
No, and that's
No.
what I was gonna say is I recommend you go full screen for a little bit because I'm gonna be off camera anyways, but I'm here because I don't
Okay.
have Nemesis to put up there yet because I passed on that for the time being. And I'm kind of
Okay.
glad I did based off what you guys have been saying.
Yeah, it's kind of a, I don't know, man. It's kind of like a double-edged sword with this guy. I'll go full screen if you want to go and do what
Mm-hmm.
he's gonna do. So in the chat, like who got Nemesis in the chat, and are you happy with him overall? Like just overall complete total. So turn on some lights. So I got mine sitting here. This dude looks great. And yes, I've got the head sculpt on him that most of us thought we weren't going to like, including me. But I actually think this head sculpt vibes better with the overall look because it's got the little bit of the white with the armor. I really dig the white crazy eyes. And looking at him like this, man, he looks great. Like I measured the wingspan. His wingspan was, I think, almost 14 inches, tip to tip. But the thing that I don't like about Nemesis, and it's really way more evident when you put the wings on him, is that right there. He is very, very wiggly. He is probably the worst figure in the line for wiggly torso connection cut. And when I opened him up, I was like, man, this guy actually looks really cool in person. Now, I'm not a Cobra Law fan either, but I make it work in my head by looking at it like it is a multiverse kind of thing, like alt reality. I can do it that way. It's not a retcon backstory. It's something else. So when I opened him up, like this dude really does look cool in person, and I got him out, and he comes with the wings on him in the package, and which kind of surprised me because like literally are already put on his back getting him out. And I got him out, and I'm like, okay. And the first thing I did was I went ahead and just took the wings, like I took them off and I had them separate, and I was messing with him. And I was like, man, he's kind of he's really loose. And I messed around with him, did my review, and then when I got the wings on him and I saw like that, that is very hurtful is the first word that come to mind. It's not hurtful, but it's disappointing because once again, a figure that I really wasn't all that like hyped for, but like I'm going to give it a shot because they keep taking these stupid, shitty characters and making awesome figures out of them. And they did with him, except you can't hardly stand this son of a bitch up.
And that's what I was wondering is when they did the molding. I'm going to stay off camera for 2 more minutes here.
Okay.
When they did the molding with the computer software, I'm wondering if they kind of just left the calculation set at $1 and not $1 with additional weight going on the back. And when it got packed with all that, if it did something, like, you know what I mean? Like this seems like a math thing more than anything because it's just that one joint, isn't it?
Yeah, the other ones, like his knees and his elbows, are really, really tight. Like I had to heat up a couple of them a lot before I got them broke free, and they are still like, I mean, you can hear it. They are still really tight, and that's just the bottom, the top part of the pinless knee. It is way worse. I can deal with that. You got a little bit of an echo, Crow, not much.
I apologize.
I can deal with the tightness of the leg, but this, like, where it's going to get top heavy and just nosedive off the shelf, Raptor is similar, but Raptor's not loose. You can balance Raptor and don't have to worry about it. Raptors fell one time, and that's because I was moving a lot of stuff around and whatever. This dude, though, especially the further out you've got the wings stretched, and it throws off the balance you can put on his legs and spreads it everywhere and you curve in. He just does that. And I am disappointed because he does look great. The sculpt work, everything on him. I probably haven't been this disappointed with one since Mole Rat, one of my favorite figures, but the QC or, maybe it's not QC, maybe it's improper tooling, whatever, but somebody didn't check them before they left the factory. Nobody played with the first ones of these guys off the line and said, you know what? People are going to bitch about this and people may return this one.
Or they might very well have played with it and said, "Okay, brace for it, guys. They shipped. We're going to hear about it soon."
Yeah. And there's one thing that I did miss in my review, and I watched Punk's review. He didn't realize it either. Is he actually does have thigh swivel, which I didn't realize it. I completely missed it because it's completely it's hidden right. It's right there.
Yeah.
And I didn't even think about it. So if you twist his legs out and spread his feet a little better, it does really help with standing him. But I just wanted to see what people's consensus were or was with getting this guy, because I feel like if he'd have been a really good figure overall, I think he would have been, I'm trying to get rid of this, go away. I think he would have been worth the price point. Punk says he may be the worst classified figure of the year, and Punk's got them all.
So I watched both your guys' review and a couple more just to get good glimpses of it, because I this is the first time I've missed a figure lately and gone, I'm fine with that. I'll pick it up when I stumble across it or I feel like ordering it, because I've heard the negative consensus, and I really don't see what else they're going to use this mold, this patent for, than printing more Nemesis, right? Like, what else are you going to use it for?
Yeah, I mean, maybe the belly, but the upper part.
Yeah, and so the thing was, when I watched all your reviews, I was actually a little impressed with the way they've interpreted what Cobra Law needs to look like in order to make sense, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you go back to the Sunbow animation or the Deke or whatever it was that actually showed you the most Cobra Law, there wasn't any real detail the way there is with this. And what you're seeing on, like, even the wings on your Nemesis have bat-like fingers, like mandible, right? Leather-like wings, but it's a crab-like carapace that it's housed under. Right, so they're kind of nailing the crustacean like theme that goes with Cobra Law. I just found the crustacean theme really at odds with the words Cobra Law. I was like, I've never been able to fit those together. That's all. But
yeah,
I don't get reassurances when I see a shaky buck like that. It doesn't make me want to buy it anymore.
And whatever else they do decide to use parts of it for, because right here Liquid says V2 Firefly's loosey goosey, still love him. He's not a giant heavy figure, and that's where it really comes into play, because he's a giant heavy figure with giant wings that also carry that weight out. And I've had him standing, but he's just standing static. Like, you can bend him around and you can get him in some poses, but he's gonna fall over, man. Like,
I actually like those. I wish they had done something different with the mandibles attachment as opposed to the wings. Like, done something with a better, because it kind of reminds me of a dollar store snaky toy. Like, you can see the little holes in the plastic and whatnot for the bends and everything like that. That thing, but again, so I heard you and Punk talk about it. And I was like, this fits in with that whole crustacean theme, because that's a parasite, just like what you see clinging off the sides of sharks. This would be clinging off the side of him, right? And I was like, it works, but it doesn't look right at all.
Yeah, it looks very, like, I don't dislike it, but I'd have rather them done something else than try to fit the little fly swatter wings into classified.
I'll still get them though.
I'd have rather seen them do something else, but I do like this little guy. Turk says I got a couple retro troopers, loose torsos. That is the main thing that's kept me from opening mine. I actually got a second one, and I haven't opened them yet. I got everybody talked me into buying two, Crow and Punk. Yeah. So, but I haven't opened them because I've seen so many reports of them being loose. So I don't know. I want to get them open. Turk also says, please God, don't let Wild Bill look like Pope. I would, you talk about heartbreak. I'm looking more forward to that figure than I am the whole damn helicopter. I've been said that since the beginning, and I still he looks really good. I haven't seen, like I said, watched any reviews or anything, so I don't know about construction quality. I don't know what other parts he's made out of, but he looks really good, so let's hope so. Roman, have I tried him on a flight stand? I have not tried him on a flight stand.
I saw that comment.
I don't have a flight stand that'll hold that big sumbitch up.
Yeah.
And I've got some of the articulated arm claw ones, and the claw ain't gonna go around his waist on the ones I've got. I'm sure there's some out there that will. Good one to leave in the box. I get the box. I grabbed this box and something else. Box art owning presentation. He looks really good. I mean, you got the cool artwork and stuff on it, like we see with the exclusives. If you're a box collector or a partial in box collector, I'd say pick him up. If you're not going to get him out and be disappointed with the loose torso, I'd pick him up for your box collection because he definitely looks good in the box.
I'm wondering if there's a graph somewhere that would show you the number of box collectors that join Classified in the year and the number of Classified collectors that stop being box collectors in a year because of how much is going into this line for boxes, man. Like, I don't know where you got to get the space. I really don't. If you have them all.
Well, when I've said it before, when I started buying a bunch of the earlier figures early last year, when I got into the line and I had to go back and pick up a lot of the earlier releases, I got a lot of them on deals from people who were box collectors, and they swapped to the windowless boxes and they were selling their collection because they couldn't see them.
Yeah.
So I got a lot of those early figures.
The amount of inconsistencies in the line, over 140 figures are there for an annoyance on that level. I could see it, but at least numbers are all in the right spot.
Yeah, that's right. Numbers are not always with the nice artwork, but at least you can put them in order. It just might look a little funny. Bobby, somebody Discord took a wings off one of the gargoyles. I saw somebody do that. It does look good, and I don't have any of those gargoyles figures. I think I might be the only person in the world that never watched gargoyles.
No, I'm the same.
I've got they look great. I have no nostalgia for the line or anything, so I don't have any, but those wings on him do look really good. But I like the bat wings. I do like them. They look good. So, and they articulate. Those NECA wings, I don't think they articulate, do they?
There is a little cheat, right, for Nemesis not being able to stand up, and that's just pose him in a battle where he's leaning on a couple of Joes, but it looks like he's beating them up, and then you're done.
Yeah. You can do that. I mean, if you just want to have him pose, like you can get him to stand. I've had him just standing over here chilling for a couple days, but when you start trying to get him like he's throwing a punch and putting his weight on his back foot like you see him do in the movie when he launches off, like you're not doing it. You ain't doing it without some help.
A figure like that fall, it's got more momentum and mass than anything too, right? So
yeah, this dude, like he's clearing a shelf if anything's in front of him. Like you want to get a little bean bag and put underneath him on the floor, like
trampoline.
Like the thing from Lethal Weapon that Mel Gibson made the dude jump off into, the jumper. So, but there he is. my review is similar to other ones that I've watched, and most people have the same complaint, was that he's really loose and wiggly. But there he is. I wanted to talk about him, see what you guys thoughts on him were. He's a waste of an awesome sculpt. He's a waste of a superbly sculpted detail figure.
Well, I mean, I saw a lot of speculation coming out of Crimson Cobra Commander as far as what the reuse would be for this. I've seen, I am reading some of these as we go. But I think the consensus is it's not popular,
Yeah.
It's kind of going over like a cold shower right now with a lot of people, because people were looking forward to it. It was exciting enough to come out and be ready like that. Right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, people were there but he sold out, but he didn't sell out. Like he didn't sell out once a man Cobra Commander quick, but he was gone that night, and he's come back up once or twice, but not with frequency. I hadn't checked for a couple of days.
Word is out. I don't think they're going to run into the same jump, right? But who knows?
Yeah. He's sold out right now. I just had to look and see.
Yeah, I've been checking. Just like I said, I'm not in a hurry to get them, but I do check that availability because, they've done weird things before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just sitting here waiting on November 11th, because that's when GameStop has the Iron Grenadier bats coming out. So
is that when you're getting yours?
Well, I mean, if they're the ones that send them first, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've got them ordered in 3 places.
Yeah. I'm still waiting on the troopers out here, but we got the bats. I just haven't been able to find anymore since I got my pre-orders. But I mean, bats. Yeah. So many bats, and I can expect so many more bats now.
Yeah, there's gonna be a bat for everything, man. They're going there, but it is one of the better. Like, it's one of my favorite figures. It's probably, out of all of them, is probably in my top 5. Is at least one of the versions of the bat, maybe classic, whatever. But I love it. I love that figure. Always been one of my favorites. So
it's actually a really good segue to something else that we were going to talk about, because what we were going to talk about is rife with bats, and the bat lore was done well. You want to talk about Destro? Yep.
Let's do it.
All right. So we're going to talk about Skybound's Destro, because we've read it. It's been out for a couple of weeks now, the last issue. So spoilers are done. But if you have not read the Destro 1 through 5 by Skybound, I'm going to tell you, we'll try not to ruin it all for you, but we're going to talk about some key parts of it that we think were interesting. Right?
So you told me that you have not read all of Scarlet, or no, all of Cobra Commander and all of Duke, right?
No, I actually go on to
Grievance.
Here's some high Grievance. I actually go on to Billy in Action, who's a YouTuber who has a perfect New York accent, much like our Tony Biggs. I think he's a Jersey boy or something, but he reads all those comics out for you and shows you the frames, and I really enjoy them. So I'll buy the comics, I'll browse for them, but if I don't get religious about it, I just end up listening to Billy read them. And then if I miss it all, I'll listen to JLS recap a character if it comes out fresh, right? So
yeah. So I would definitely, because I want to ask, like, which one was your favorite of all of them, but you haven't read them all. So Destro, well, no, I told you.
I got the recap. I understand. I know everything that's happened in this Energon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
okay, but you just hadn't actually had them in your hand and gone through them all. Yeah. So, okay. Yeah. All right. So what, out of the 4, which one do you think was the best, like, singular story?
Honestly, I would have to say Duke was the best singular story, just because it's everything kind of draws on that story. What happens in Duke, it gets referred to continuously, and it's important. So I would have to say that's the best one, but I think the funnest one is Destro.
I'd probably agree with that. Destro or Cobra Commander, it would be real close, but I think as far as things like comedy, quips and stuff that's written into it, I think Destro probably edges it out. Cobra Commander's definitely a whole lot more violent and edgy and not coming from a place that you would think that you were expecting it to. Destro, when you think reimagining a Destro, they're going to stick to some of the same old lore with him. I like the spin on how he meets everybody, or whatever, him versus Tomax and Zaymot. But there are some things in Destro when I was flipping back through it while we were getting ready to talk about it. I was some of the, like, Destro is very kind of presumptuous and kind of the way they have him written, some of his dialogue in the book, some of the way, like, the stuff he says, like, nobody, even an uppity Scottish lord's not gonna fucking talk like that. When I was reading back through it, I'm like, oh, come on, man, this dude is so pompous.
Yeah, and so I think that's the struggle that Skybound's kind of up against right now, and I think they're kind of, I hate saying this, but they're kind of killing it, and I didn't think they would. The struggle is, where do you draw the line at where Joe's camp belongs? Like the campiness of G.I. Joe that we grew up with. Where does that belong in our modern storytelling when we re-envision Joe, right? So you get guys with dialogue issues. So like you pointed out with Destro, some of his dialogue seems a little too fancy. We read in Cobra Commander how that lisp translates, right? Like, that's there. The camp is,
and they wrote it into some of his stuff in some of the books. They wrote the in.
For sure. And even some of the more ridiculous premises that maybe we thought were going to leave a bad taste in our mouth, like for some of us, Cobra Law, they're actually managing it in a way that you can take it in bite-sized chunks and go, I can handle this better, right? Like, a lot better. They're doing a good job with it. What impressed me, one of the things, was the bats, because we were talking about bats just now. I have never been a fan of bats. I think the idea of a battle autonomous trooper is ridiculous when they try to justify this as a financial savings of any kind.
Right. You talked about that in your review on those guys.
But I mean, I felt that way as a kid too. I was like, what do you mean they're sending droves of robots? We can't even make robots right now, right? Like, not like that. And now we can, and we know they're not cheap,
but they're very cost prohibitive.
Yeah. So, but in Destro, again, try not to do too many spoilers, but there will be spoilers. The bats are written using that same camp that is describing them on the old 80s file card. This indiscretion that they are programmed with, or can't be programmed to counter, it's very prevalent, right?
Yeah, it is definitely an overarching theme in all of Destro. So, like Crow said, without giving a whole bunch of spoilers, that is one of the big focuses of Destro, is getting bats up and running, getting them created, getting them powered. But the problem they keep running into is they, like he said, with the file card, they can't distinguish friend from foe. And there's actually at least one panel where they blow each other apart because they just see other movement and start shooting at it. Yeah. So that's an overarching theme, kind of tying all of the issues to Destro together. It's about trying to get the bats to work, and how, and if the bats aren't going to work, what else we got, kind of thing.
Now, remember, rebuilding this whole Joe universe lore, kind of, it's weird how they're going about it. Like, you have some pre-established canon, but we're just meeting them for the first time. Like, it's weird how the bridge, but this is where like Destro and Tomax and Zaymot all fold together, and it's about, basically Destro has to defend the production of the bats against better tech out there,
right?
Yep.
And that's kind of one of the reoccurring themes as well. So it ends ironically, but that's about all I'll say about that.
Yep. Bobby says, I think Joshua Williamson's doing an awesome job with the universe. Energon universe, unlike Star Wars, that was swinging from the hips, feels like he actually has an overall story figured out. I haven't read any of the Star Wars stuff, so I don't know, but he definitely does seem like this has direction. Reading the 4 titles that we're talking about here, especially now, you could kind of see where Duke was going a little bit, but reading through Cobra Commander, you're like, how in the hell is this going to tie in to the rest of it, other than you do see the Transformers elements in there in both of those. You're like, these are so, like, they're connected, but they're not related. And yeah, man, that one, damn it, Nemesis. Damn it, Bobby, quit falling on my fingers. He almost made me X out of something, that son of a bitch. So seeing how they're going to tie them all together was interesting, and I think they do all of them. Like, did you finish Scarlet yet?
No, it's
okay.
Scarlet's not. I think, like we talked about before, there's not. I don't feel the urgency to read Scarlet as much as I felt it to read Destro.
Yeah. So out of all 4, the way they end, like Scarlet, the ending of Scarlet, it doesn't really tie that much into the others. You can see where if you had a little more, if you had 2 more issues of Scarlet, I think they could get it worked in well. But Scarlet ended, like, for me, when you get there, and anybody that's read it, Scarlet ended like that's it. We've sat through 5 issues of this for this, and it doesn't really tie that much into Destro. But the stuff that's going on in Destro, you see the other stories, and you see how they fit in.
Yeah,
what's going on in Destro.
Yeah, and now November, like we're in November, the new series
almost here.
Yeah, and it's going to be like go time on another number 1 issue, close out the RAH and start something new, right? And you and I were talking about what some of that could look like for a lot of different reasons, like
yeah,
Hasbro.
Yeah, we were having a discussion talking about what if Hasbro decides to do an entire subline based on the Energon universe. Would you guys be in for another subline? Now, I know when we talked about this, the designs that we're seeing, I mean, including this dude, my favorite character, Scrap Iron.
Yeah.
He is the classified Scrap Iron with the drone with the tracked treads. They're using those designs in classified or vice versa. So there's at least some kind of collaboration there.
Oh, absolutely they are. But what we were talking about with sublines is stuff like this.
Yeah,
right? New variations of Rock and Roll, Clutch, Duke, CoverGirl, Stalker, Baroness, and I don't know who this one is. Is that Hardball, or like it's a agent, but I'm trying to make it the belt.
Maybe it's BP Vest from Cops.
Yeah, he's got a Western belt. I don't know. Maybe it's a new character. Somebody can answer in the chat, right? But that's what I mean by subline. Would you want that thrust into the classified as a numbered line, or would you want that to be like? Well, either way, it's going to be like that, but. Would they fold it in with the regular stuff, or would they make it like Snake Eyes Origins?
Yeah. I would almost. The thing is, like, they're going to number the damn thing
always, right?
Because they know what they're doing with the numbers. So, War Chest said, "I'm all in on the subline. Want that Baroness, that GI Joe Baroness,
liquid comment there.
Well,
that'd be cool."
Yeah, that would be badass, and I'm not sure. Like, we're going to get Chameleon without a doubt, but
Yeah.
is Chameleon enough of a character to carry her on her own, or would she have to be in a 2-pack? I like this idea, and that might even make people say, well, I've already got like 17 Baroness figures, but this is the new one, man. She's a Joe in this one. It could be the same damn figure as the Crimson Strike Team Baroness, which is a good figure by all accounts. But with the double, pinless joints, except in those G.I. Joe colors. And I think people would buy that figure, but I don't know about Chameleon.
So Chameleon to me seems like they're going to try and do a Helix all over again. But now it's going to get a lot more support, right? With the comic and its place. Like, you're going to learn its place before instead of having...
Wrong stream.
What's that? There's a new diet.
Wart DI hire for Joe's. Wrong stream.
Yeah. So with Chameleon, like, we're seeing her identity. It's fresh in the head, and I can see a fig flowing out of that. Whereas with Helix, you had to go back and go, okay, where did she show up? IDW, when? Oh, how many games? Okay, it's been like 10 years, right? Place.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the link to the Baroness, I that's from the old lore for sure. I don't know how it applies to the new lore. Do you know what I mean? I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah, you don't know that they're, sisters. Like, it's not, if they are, and they may be, but the Baroness that we see in Destro is not the Baroness we know. It's her origin too.
Yeah.
So who knows? Another
reason I compared her to Helix is because she's got a gimmick, right? Helix had that adaptive learning thing, right? What made her like a savant, like Ben Affleck and the accountant kind of. I can calculate everything. With her, she has a cybernetic implant, right? That gives her an ability, right? And I'll leave it at that. It gives her an ability which would make her an interesting figure in how they could translate things like that. That's all.
Blast effects. That's all I'll say.
There you go.
Give us some blast effects from Star Wars. Say I had a Gasland mechanic just popped in. How you doing, man?
Just talking to you the other day. Gaslands, I'm sorry.
And Liquid says he thinks Chameleon is hot enough to carry her solo, like hot, or like hot, like, popular hot. Both by all, accounts. And I think this version of Chameleon, they're going to have to endear her a little bit more to fans because we've seen so many versions of Chameleon over the years. It was completely different in IDW. So to see this one, and let's, cards on the table, this version of Chameleon would be a badass toy.
Oh yeah, and they've got the drafts done on it. We've seen her advertised other sketches out of that, right? The mislead, if you're reading Destro, is she wouldn't have a winter design to her, right? She would be whatever with the white cloak. That would be probably the buck they'd use, right? So I can't see why they wouldn't do Chameleon. I think they've done enough to set her up for success. So
yeah, right? But the idea of a 2-pack, I think a Baroness Chameleon 2-pack would sell. If they do whatever, like we're going to see out of the Baroness, because we know, or it's at least implied that she is a Joe. Maybe she's a double agent. We don't know. But Baroness in a G.I. Joe getup, along with Chameleon, who is essentially a villain, a bad guy, or at least a neutral swinging on the side of a bad guy, because we've already seen one of these versus 2-packs with the Twilight Guard. Yep, and the Steel Corps Commander that nobody was going to buy, but everybody wanted that Twilight Guard. I think both of those would be hot as like a versus pack.
But the question really becomes, well, you could get a 2-pack out of this, right? Easily, probably. Could those figures make more solo sets on their own, right? Like everybody's going to buy a Baroness, you know, if it's done right, because she's a core
Yeah.
character of the line. And maybe they didn't buy into the Rattler, so they don't have every version of her yet. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, it could work. I wouldn't take it off the table. I just we also got to look at characters like Mercer, right? Like Mercer sitting in that line, very prevalent.
Yeah.
Right? He's crossed over a couple of different ways, and he's established a look, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can answer that.
Yeah, I was going to type it out. Yes, this is what we were saying. Gaslands in some lore, yes, she's her sister, who became essentially a good guy and took a different path. Remember the Transformers episode, the girl that fell in love with Power Slide? That's who Chameleon is in the Energon universe. I do not remember that episode, so I will, if you can find out the title of it, I will watch it because I don't remember it. I don't really want a zombie Serpentor con. I've got enough Serpentor figures with the one.
Yeah,
but I know a lot of people do.
That would come with a Mindbender, right? You'd have to have the Mindbender zombie as well. So it occurs to me we're leaving a title out of the Energon universe that we're just not talking about because I haven't collected it. I don't know if you have. Void Rivals. Have you been reading any of that?
I've got one. I've got the first one.
Okay. Apparently, Void Rivals is going to have some stuff to do with Globulus, from what I'm picking up somewhere on. So more explanation for that universe. Just I wasn't prepared to speak to it, but I totally forgot to mention it.
Yeah, I didn't. No, I don't have it in here. It's on the coffee table in the living room. I got every one of these. They're still on my coffee table. All 5 of all of these titles, and a couple of other ones are all sitting there where I read them, and I'm like, I don't want to put them away because I want to look at them. I want to look at new G.I. Joe comics because I'm not reading the IDW. I'm not reading that.
I just like looking at covers.
What do you think about 5 or 6 or 12 covers for every issue? I'm not a fan.
So that's nothing new. It really is. I mean, if you can go back to the days of Rob Liefeld and Todd McFarlane working over at Marvel and starting off with Deadpool and all those guys back in the 90s, that's right around the time a few things got visited, like variant covers, polybagging, and changing the paper content. Right, they were playing with a lot of different things, and variant covers were great for like 2-3 years, and then everybody got sick of them. So here, everything's cyclical, or everything's a cycle, right? So here we go again.
That was in the 90s when all that was going. That was when I kind of exited pretty much all the comic collecting. I've talked about that before. I'm not going to rehash that, but that's one of the things that made me throw in the towel. G.I. Joe was over, and I kind of had trailed off on Punisher, and those were really the only 2 things that I read consistently back then. So when they started doing stuff like that, bunch of covers and, polybagging and all, and they got kind of like what you and I talked about with these, because a lot of these books are a lot of pages and not a lot of content in some of these.
No,
Destro's not as bad as some of the others. Cobra Commander seemed like every issue was really short. I didn't feel that much with Destro. But so that kind of stuff back then, that's when I quit. So now with these.
Sorry, it's just you brought that point up, and I think you need to dwell on that again. We were talking about what the problem is with the comics, these that we're seeing right now, and the point was a lot of art, very little driving script or story, right?
Yeah, it's like we talked about it. The panels, like you get a lot of pages that are the whole page is 2 panels or maybe 1 panel, or it's the thing where it's all one picture, but they split it up and they put the divider in it like it's a bunch of panels, and they don't have enough story to write. Like they're telling it with the art, and there's a lot of pages Yeah, like that Destro on that right page. A lot of their story they're just telling with art, and there's a lot of word bubbles in a lot of these comics that are or it's a quip of like, well, this doesn't look good for me, and it's an internal monologue thought, and that'll be the only thing on the whole page, and then it's 3 panels of art that's essentially the same picture, and we're getting a lot of that without a lot of dialogue and more ads. Like you showed at the back of Destro, it's got like a 3 or 4 page intro into the new comic.
Yeah.
That just inflates the size of this book. That's less Destro story I'm getting, and it's in Scarlet too. It's at the back of the last issue of Scarlet as well.
Yeah, so I'm going to mention something about that. The only time I've ever seen that gimmick work advantageous to any sort of collectors is when The Walking Dead did it. I think it was like issue 84 or 86. And it was they would often cram a new comic in the back to introduce you to, because Image is all these independent guys trying to crack out, right?
Yeah.
And they did that for a comic series called Chew, which was about an Asian American detective that could see the crimes by eating food, kind of thing, right? That thing, just for the backstory advert of Chew, like the introduction to Chew, it counted kind of a first appearance of Chew. A comic went up to like $100 US, like almost overnight, like, but because it became so popular, right? I don't think we're gonna see that happen here. It's just free ad space, man. Like they're making their own ad space on top of ad space in these things now.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It's like, and they're getting more expensive. Like these books are $4 or $5 cover price on them, $3.99, $4.99, and I get a little bit of a discount because I have a whole box for them. So $5, maybe 5 and some change here for our price. They're going up, and you're getting less content. You're getting glossy pages. It's neither here nor there with the story, but it enables them to basically. You mentioned Walking Dead. It allows them to Walking Dead, the TV show, or Sons of Anarchy, because I'm watching it again. TV show, like you take something that could have been done in one comic and stretch it out over 2.
That's just it. Yeah.
And yeah. I thought on these books, setting them as a 5-issue limited arc, 5-issue arc, I didn't think that was going to be enough to tell whatever the story they were going to try to tell is. And in a couple of them, it was too much. They had to stretch it out. In some of these, I'm like, well, this could have been a 3-shot, if it had been one book.
Yeah, and that was just it. It was, I think they were more focused on having some symmetry and redundant, like perfect numbers, 5 and 5 and 5 and 5 and 5, and we're done, right? But maybe Duke was a 5-issue worth of a story, Cobra Commander 5 issues worth of a story. I think Destro's more like a 4 issues that was dragged out to 5 issues. And that's how I feel about Scarlet. I feel like Scarlet was like 3 dragged out to 5, right?
Scarlet's 3 tops. There's Scarlet is probably the biggest offender of that, having one page that's 2 panels on a page because it's one big shot.
Yeah.
Scarlet was the worst one out of all of them, and I think it's the story in Scarlet was really weak, I thought, and not very interesting.
Yeah, and it was a little convoluted by some agendas at play with what they were trying to express. Like, I would agree. On this question, Triple C, this is not the first time I've seen you ask that question.
I was going to say that.
I don't know if we've ever answered it, but I mean, Darren, you're probably better fitted to answer this question. The only thing I would ask is, does anybody else own even a part of the property of Red Shadow? Because
I don't have any of the Palatoy stuff, and it's not that I don't like it. It's just when I was a kid, I have no nostalgia for it because I didn't know about it. I didn't learn about it till much later. They wrote it into the IDW comic,
Mhm.
which I thought was a cool nod to it. It didn't really fit all that well, but they made it work, and I thought it was okay. I don't I don't know.
So
Because we just showed like just pulled up the Fresh Monkey stuff, and that's what they're doing. They're making the homages to the Red Shadows with the Black Major and all of that stuff with their line.
Mhm.
And that's clearly what they're doing. I mean, they're calling it something else. They're
And
doing kind of what Ramen does.
that was kind of my point too. It seems like other lines are looking to respect that property a little bit more than Hasbro would be interested in it. I don't think they play nice with others as far as who's going to take ownership of that property.
Yeah.
It's
And I
mine or
don't
no one's, you know.
I don't feel like he Crimson Cobra Commander says Skeletron and Hasbro both own it.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, the actual rights. Sure, I don't know. So I'm taking you for your word. You seem to know some of this stuff. So I don't know. But
Mhm.
looking at Hasbro, looking at Fresh Monkey doing the figures they're going to do, and now they've had a chance to get their hands on Monster Force figures too. I'm not so sure they'd bring them in because they're going to be going up against a better version of them.
And also remember, this is Hasbro. We're talking about the classified line. That's one line of a multi-billion-dollar company with a lot of stuff that they've got to look at in-house where they're going to allocate it. Right now, I think what they're giving classified for support, finance, and like future planning, I
Yeah.
actually not expect this much future planning. Like they're farther in the line than I thought they'd be at this point. Things like this. So I couldn't say no to Triple C's question, but I just couldn't see it being a priority at all at this point.
I'll tell you this: if we see them write in some of the Palatoy and the Action Force stuff into the new comic, or
There you
even
go.
bring it back in
Yeah.
to the G.I. Joe comic that's going on,
Mhm.
the continuity, you would probably get a good indicator that they might try to work it in.
Yeah.
But right now, I don't think right now they would try it. They've got too many irons in the fire.
And again, those split property rights, I don't know how that even works when you're planning your line, when you would start looking at, okay, well, who's entitled to what slice of that pie? Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. Let's see what else is down here. What's up, Model Misfit, Loki, Wartooth
Going on, brother.
in the house. War Chest. Talking about the Alpha 001 Revanche. How do you say that? Is it Revanche or Revanche?
I think it's just pronounced Revanche.
Okay, that's how I've been saying it in my head.
So there was an X-Men. That Revanche was the code name of the like X-Men Psylocke. The first Psylocke, the body that Psylocke occupied, they switched spots, and the Revanche was the name of the other one and that's the only reason I ever remember hearing that word.
It's in the IDW, and it may be in the new one. I'm not reading it. The new IDW. Okay.
Issue 301, you see some Revanche bats. Right?
Okay. That was very big in the 156 to 300 was the Revanche and the super advanced bats and the alpha bat. That would be a cool ass figure, but it would, and I'd buy it, but I don't really want to see a Bat Commander. I know like one of the versions of Overkill was the Bat Commander. I don't want to see a robot-esque Bat Commander. I like to think of the bats as being divisions of them being commanded by whoever.
And I even like the idea of what they've already established. They're not even very confidently commanded. They're more like let out, pointed, and then picked up later whatever's left. Right?
Yeah.
Like it's kind of
and there's a kill switch.
Yeah, they're like mechanized Roomba kill machines, right? Like they'll just bounce around until everything's dead. So the idea of appointing one commander is like, it seems pointless and redundant.
Yeah, I think so. I think so too. So we'll see.
Whoever wants
Bobby, no, no, they won't.
Next year, when the Hooded Commander comes out, the Fresh Monkey, I want to see a Hasbro release. Yeah.
No, they won't. So what other points in Destro do you want to talk about overall? I mean, we had some good character development in it.
So we get introduced to a couple of concepts. I mean, like vehicle wise, it's whatever you see thrown in that issue. They throw so many issues, it could lead you to believe a million different vehicles are coming, right? Everything from recruiting his tanks to what we know is probably coming with Iron Grenadier, flying sleds. But Darklon, do you want to talk about Darklon?
Yeah, Darklon is in the Destro comic a couple of times. And we know we're getting ready to get him next year. He's been a name reveal. We saw on those Weibo leaks that they're already tooling his gun. That's how we knew for sure he was coming.
And I almost feel like they tried to get us to notice the release of the name drop and the comic like really tightly released together at the same times. And it just didn't line up, like, because you knew about him in the first issue of Destro. And then
I think as these character shots stories go, like when you saw him and you kind of started reading them and you realize that the version that you're seeing in the comic is the classified version, it starts getting in your head that, oh man, like here's Mercer, like here's Darklon. Maybe we're gonna see them, and then we see Darklon's gun, because it was between Destro 1 and 5 that leaked out, and you kind of see the direction that they're headed. So we were talking about Chameleon. That's why, because she was prevalent in 2 or 3 issues of Destro. That's why she's coming. And same with Darklon. As soon as you saw him in 1, you're like, Darklon, but he doesn't have his mask. What could happen?
Yeah. He looked like Nice Pool, right? Like
he does. Hold on. I just had it out. He does, man. He looks like Nice Pool.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta go find it without finding
so in fact, like he finds it. There was a point where you see Darklon and the Corsican brothers all together, the Paoli brothers all together, and it looks like a family reunion. There he is. Yeah.
Yes, he's very much drawn like Tomax and Xamot in this comic.
He was. Hey, what'd you think about them in this comic?
They were okay. What's up to Mendoza? How you doing, buddy? They were okay. I didn't hate them in this comic. They are very ruthless. I did like that. They were both written like Xamot is in the Cobra series and the Cobra IDW series. They were both written like bloodthirsty and very smart, but also able to be tricked.
But and I like the way they're being staged more like this new age Bill Gates and like a software company spokesman standing in front of that big screen working their people up. But I would love to see a classified variant of Tomax and Xamot just in business suits. Because
I think we all would, man.
Yeah. But what I was going to say was they were another opportunity where it was like, there's Joe campiness out there, and Tomax and Xamot are the big ones because of their Corsican brothers, which means they feel each other's pain, right?
Yeah.
And we have to at some point sit through seeing it in the comic, right? Like we all know it hadn't been addressed yet, and then they address it, and I thought they did it just right to not make it so campy, but it was still okay.
Yeah, it was like it didn't go like they didn't stretch it out. It was just a couple of panels, but you do get to see it. Basically, Destro whips both of their asses. We'll tell you that. They give him a run for his money, but Destro takes them both on, and it was a pretty even draw, but I think Destro come out on top. And you do get to see that when he's fighting both of them, and they don't dwell on it, but it's like, oh, I could have done without him throwing that in, but it wasn't over the top.
And that's just it. So if we look at, sorry, I'm getting messages while I'm on air. If we look at that though, right, it makes you wonder. We haven't seen some of the Joes yet, and I'm wondering if some of the campier Joes are gonna express some of that. Like, are we gonna get Roadblock rapping? You know, like constant rhyming in the comic.
Well, maybe he could be talking about cooking crack and pig feet, like in my cousin's story.
Yeah, you'll have to tune into that to understand
Yeah,
that.
you have to go back and watch that one. Watch that one really late on the last Seven's Wild. I don't know. I bet at some point, I bet they do. I bet it won't be excessive, but I bet just every every other appearance or Roadblock, he makes a little rhyme, and it's subtle, and it's not just like stretching it to make a rhyme. I think they'll work it in to where it actually sounds like when you actually say something and you don't mean to rhyme, but you do.
That's right. Yeah.
So,
the coincidentals. But I would kill for just once is just like an appearance of the Joes having to do PSA commercials. Just that's mentioned on their jobs list. Like you have to do a PSA commercial, and they're all bitching about it. Just that's all we need for those.
yeah, that would, like, it's part of some public awareness or public kind of like the I'm doing my part from Starship Troopers. Like, it's this is that you signed this form. This says that you have to participate in one PSA per year, and they're pissed off. Maybe they're at a photo shoot with Starduster while he's showing off his cereal box or something.
Starduster's they always throw him under the bus. He has to do them all.
Yeah, like he draws, like the contracts. Like, we don't care who shows up, but we need a member of the G.I. Joe team here to do a PSA and talk about this cereal.
Oh my god! I'm passing the Joe movie right now. Did you ever watch Arrested Development?
I did not. I didn't watch it.
The guy who plays Tobias on there, I just picture him playing Starduster. It's just this blatantly like a homosexual denying he's a homosexual. Just Starduster, go do the PSA. I'm ready. Just flying across the screen.
And I need makeup.
Yeah. Gotta do my part, boys.
Yep. And that's Starduster. I could see doing that. He seems like he would. He seems like they make him out. Like, I see Starduster being like, what was the washed up movie star dude in The Simpsons, Troy McClure. I can see Starduster being Troy McClure.
You might remember me from such cartoons as G.I. Joe and He-Man, G.I. Joe.
Yeah, you might remember me from my Action Stars cereal commercials in 1986. I can kind of totally see it. And while you're talking about the PSAs, if anybody does not watch the channel Destro Is My Spirit Animal.
Oh God, yes, please.
I've mentioned it before. Like, I don't know this dude, but I like his content. He has done some modern PSAs with classified figures, and they are hilarious. They are as funny as the original ones that we all know and love, pork chop sandwiches.
Yeah, I went on a little bit of a rabbit hole because he's done a few of those, right? And the gold isn't always just the Joe that's talking. Those kids' responses sometimes are perfect.
Yeah, Yeah, thanks. So, the Snake Eyes one, I just saw the Snake Eyes one's really good.
The one I saw yesterday. Don't be an influencer. That's stupid.
Yeah, there I got the phones. Yeah, because he did a bunch of them in one video, and then now he's chopping them up into their own shorts. So they're really funny. So, but I don't know him, but I like his channel. So they're funny. They're worth checking out.
Absolutely.
I think Stardust are more like Booster Gold, a time traveler come back to be G.I. Joe.
That was what I said in my video too. He had this ring of a sponsored hero. Like, he should just, Starduster to me is Ricky Bobby. You know, it's a big red fuck you. You know, like
I'm just trying to picture who could be his kids and what they'd be called. These are my boys, GI and Joe.
Yeah, this is my son Snake Eyes and Snake Eyes 2. Go get him.
This is my boys Snake Eyes and Snake Eyes V2.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I definitely can see that, man. That's funny. So any other thoughts on Destro? Like,
I don't. Did you? I thought we kind of got a bunch.
No, not really. I mean, it's worth a read. They're probably going to wind up doing the trade paperback collection for them.
I think that's worth mentioning, guys, because I mean, like, there's a lot of guys that don't collect comics, that, like, and they know, well, if I can't buy it at all, I'm not going to buy it at all. But the trade paperbacks often come out like 6 months after a series is concluded, or even sooner.
Yeah.
And that's often much more available and an easier way to collect these if you're not one of those comic collectors, right? So,
yeah. That one's funny as hell too. Joe Rogan interviewing Cobra Commander. That one's really funny too. I forgot about that one.
I still think about the Robot Chicken one when they go to the Cobra factory and he's pumping out cobras and one of them's like, what is it? Hell no, bro! And walks away. He's like, I'll be right back. And he goes and kills them.
Yeah. Those were the best, man. Those Robot Chickens. I'm still hoping that whatever Seth Green was talking about, because I missed it at Joe Fest, where he's trying to get something off the ground where he can do a Fumbles figure. He's trying to get a Fumbles figure off the ground. So let's hope that actually happens. So, so Destro, go read it. We get to see some good itinerations of characters, and I love that Scrap Iron, my favorite character aside from Cobra Commander, is featured very prominently, and he is every bit what I want for him. He is ruthless and just loves to blow shit up, and that's the Scrap Iron I know and love. And he was actually on he was on a couple covers that I don't have. I've got one. I don't have any of the Scrap Iron covers. Matthew Matson has one for me from issue 5. So, yep. He's got one where he's standing in front of his drone, the new drone.
Okay.
He's on 2 of them, but Matthew actually picked, because it was one of the rarer covers, like one of the more expensive covers for one of them.
Oh yeah.
5, I think it was. And he's got it for me. I need to pay him for that, but he was nice enough to pick that Scrap Iron cover up for me. Oh, look, he's listening. Why is it every time you mention Matthew Matson, all of a sudden Matthew Matson appears? He's like Beetlejuice.
Oh, that damn.
I'll send it to you, Matthew. Thanks for listening, man. Oh, they did do. Bobby says, get a medal to do Molar attorney thinners. Blah blah. Seth Green. That they did. There was a Molar figure. They did a Molar figure somewhere along the line. It was a 2-pack, I think, with him and He-Man or Skeletor. Yeah, right. And Joseph, he's like Candyman. Candy Matt.
Gotta say it in Bane's voice.
We can't Candy Matthew. It doesn't have the same ring to it.
Yeah.
So you want to talk about some card backs?
Yeah, we always want to talk about those card backs, don't we? A little bit on some level.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a thought, and I don't want to dwell too long on it, Darren, because I mean, did you had some thoughts on it too before I run away at the mouth? Did you want to say anything about them?
I pulled this up because, of course, I did. So I just had to. Yeah, I had to have one to kind of talk about. So this is what I would like to see on the back of our classified boxes. Something similar, doesn't have to be exact, but we all want file cards, but we all want these cross sales. They're putting the figures out. We're getting 4-figure waves. They're in little bite-sized chunks. And I think you could do a cross sale with maybe the last 2 waves, maybe the last wave, but you know, 2, and then you could do the little blacked out question mark silhouettes, or even just a blacked out square with a question mark. But I would like to see some version of this come back on the classified packaging. And of course, file cards. We all want file cards, but even if you don't put it on the back of the packaging, put the file card somewhere. And I know you're going to talk about something in just a second, which is your idea on it. And I could see file cards being in that spot too.
Absolutely. So I'm with you, buddy. Like, these have to come back, and we know Hasbro's been talking about them, but I just love that you put scrap iron up. I'm trying to read it.
Oh, I don't think I can blow it. I don't think. Oh wait, there it is. Never mind. I'm looking at 3D Joe's, y'all, as always. So
yeah, 3D Joe's is where I go to get all these pictures as well. So thanks to them. I mean, it's got 3 key components, right? It's different than how we package them now. You had this component, the file card, which we love, and then you had the wave release, which Darren was down south was talking about, which we see that in the retro line to some degree, but nowhere near where it should be, right? Same as the file card. You get a para in the file card, like 1 paragraph. That's about it. There we go.
So there's what you get on the new one. You get the 3 in the retro wave. I would settle for this on the boxes. If they only wanted to show the 4 that are in the wave, it's better than nothing.
So I have a proposal to Hasbro. I have a proposal because I think they've probably already looked at this. And I think we got a really good glimpse of some potential when we got Starduster. So if we look at the back of the packages, pretty much everything that's on this box is probably obligated to be there through some sort of contracts, right? You have to have your legal gobbledygook. You have to have your graphics portion. You have to have your shelf recognition and all that stuff. And then we run out of spots for the things we want. But this figure's looking us right in the eye. Well, maybe not the Iron Grenadier, but figures like this are looking us right in the eye and drawing us back to, like, wow, when I was a kid, it was in a very different package, right? And so it seems missing. And then I remembered that we get these stupid things in every single box now. And I'm wondering if Hasbro is utilizing these properly now. So when they did Starduster, they gave us a cardboard box to fold out and put out. So they know they can do serrated cuts in these, and people would pop things, such as a file card, or maybe a collection of cards with every week that, you know, like for the next 6 figures in this wave, they're going to have a bunch of cards from Upper Deck that you'll pop out, and you will get all the cover art of your cards and the original file card information on the back of those. I'm just saying, adapt it to the modern market, but bring us back those nostalgic items. What do you think of that idea? Do you think that something with the inserts is worth doing, or do you think there's a reason they're not?
I mean, cost is the reason they're not doing any of it. But as far as placement or somewhere to put that stuff, I think the inserts would be a perfect place to put file cards.
Yeah,
because a lot of people throw them away anyway, so you're not going to feel bad if you cut that file card out. Most people toss that shit anyway. I don't, but most people do, from what I understand.
Yeah.
And I think with going back to window packaging, if you did do a cross sell and you put it on that insert, it'd be too busy. Your eye would be drawn away from the actual figure, and you might miss details of the figure. But they could put the file card toward the bottom, and it wouldn't detract much on the back side. Yep. And all they got to do is put a little, they got Cobra the Enemy right there, file card enclosed, character file card in insert, something like that. That wouldn't be that hard to do.
Yeah, I mean, I would trade off some of the back graphics. Like, I don't need these features because you're showing me the character in the box. So I don't need these little window cells here. I would
Yeah.
get rid of some of these graphics and start applying them to the inner backside, just to do things like that. But that's just because I'm the older fan. I'm not the new market. I don't know if the new market even needs it, wants it, or does anything. And then, of course, there was also the idea that making these QR codes actually do something for these characters would work, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, that's what we all thought. That's what we're still hoping for. I haven't scanned Nemesis. I haven't. So
Yeah.
maybe, about every third or fourth figure, I'll try it for the hell of it. But because they're giving us file cards, but they're just one paragraph digital word salad gobbledygook, and they're dropping them on social media. I don't even think they're on Hasbro's actual site. They're posting them on Facebook and on Instagram and wherever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all you need is one guy could do that shit. Like, take whatever's written for it and put it online. There could be one guy's job. And
really.
say what's up.
It was
Pop
back
Blender,
in the day, right? I mean,
yeah,
guy writing this stuff, and Ron would draw it.
yep.
So that there's that, and then I got thinking, and we talked about this. Like, I don't have much more about that, but the flag points. I thought really hard about the flag points because I was telling you backstage, I was very close to trying to reach out to the guys over at Valaverse and ask them, like, hey, what are the ups and downs of your current action point system right now? Because I'm wondering if that's an outdated want. You know what I mean? Like, we'd like to get our flag points back. But then I thought about you guys and all of you complaining about what does my Hasbro Pulse Premium bring to the table? And that's when I thought about, well, what if Pulse Premium members could redeem flag points? Right?
It'd be great. Because I'll be honest with you. Say what's up, Pop Blender. How you doing, cuz? Probably on the way home from work. Pulse Premium loses value for me every time they release something. Even if it is a Pulse exclusive like Nemesis was, that's something that I'd almost be willing to reach out to somebody that has it and that's still keeping it and saying, hey, will you pick this up for me when you order an extra one? I'll send you the money, because they keep fucking up. They keep dropping the ball. So I think that doing a flag point system would be a great idea, but do I trust Hasbro to actually maintain it and follow through with it?
And that's just it. And that's why I was like, okay. So I noticed that, and Matt Matson had some great ideas in the chat there for the QR code. Guys are reading along, but I thought that was a good one. And I agree that 3D renders, like, come on, use some tech. It's not even expensive tech anymore. Yeah. Yeah, I saw that, but yeah. So I like, if you go onto Valaverse, they recently took Undercover Condor, and he used to be something you had to use your Vala points for, which was the Valaverse equivalent to a flag point for Joe's, and you could redeem it. Now he's just, buy him normal, right? And I didn't know what to make of that. If that was, hey, that's us making characters more accessible, and it's a positive thing for our company that we did consciously, or it was something we decided because we realized Action Force points aren't being redeemed and this system doesn't work very well. And I didn't know what that was, right?
That's a question that only Bobby Vala could answer.
Mm-hmm.
I will say him taking the concept of the flag points and doing action points was brilliant, because it's a love letter to the old line. And he looked at it and was like, Hasbro ain't doing this. People want this.
That's right.
So
leave it on the table. Then yeah.
I think probably my opinion with him doing the flag points or action points, I don't really think that maybe he's moving away from the system. I think maybe he's going to try to revamp it. And as far as Condor, I think it was probably just extras. They overran, or they did another run and run too many. And they're like, everybody that wanted the exclusivity of this
Mhm.
has got it. Got to get rid of these extras. Now, does that speak to people that did the whole Action Point thing and they're like, well, we did all this special stuff to get this figure? Yes, but what else are you going to do with them? You know?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've got the Condor there, and I mean, aside, it's a pretty basic figure. It's just really kind of neat looking, really. It is, but yeah, it's hard to say with the Action Points. Like I said, I can see it not being a failure, but then we got to go back and go, okay, what are we seeing Hasbro do right now, right? Like,
Yeah.
I can't believe, I won't believe that they haven't sat in the boardroom a billion times and said, okay, what worked in the 80s? Comic book? Okay, we got it. Check. Cartoon? We're not doing that for XYZ reason. The file card. Well, okay, but we just found out they've been trying to do a few file card like things on there, right? Wave releases, we see little images, but the Action Point flag point has not come back on any radar. I'm wondering what the conversation that prevents that, you know.
I wish I could be a fly on the wall in some of those meetings and hear how they cook up some of this stuff or how they choose not to use some of the things, like the flag points, like the file cards. Crimson Cobra Commander here. Yeah, I don't have that dude, but I do want him because
I mean, he's fully accessible now.
Yeah, I like Chuckles, and he could be like Chuckles' brother or something,
Yeah.
you know. Crimson Cobra Commander, do you think one of the reasons is because this is an adult collector line and most of us know about these characters? Could be.
It is. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, it very well could be a reason why, but you know what? I didn't know anything about the Twilight Guard. They did a file card for that dude and put it online for us. If you happen, if you have social media and you happen to see it, if you don't, then you just get to make up your own shit about Twilight Guard. They didn't do it for Mole Rat. They didn't do it for Shooter. So yes, you can say she's an established character, but what if you didn't read those few IDW comics she was in and you don't know the lore? For most of the characters, I think that's could be a valid reason. I still think it just comes down to they don't have Larry Hama to write the file cards for them, and they've got to pay somebody to digitize it, to print it, if they print it, whatever.
I don't know how much of a concern the writing would be because you're really just adapting. I mean, they've got, they got talent they could bring in, but I don't know if the purists would be happy about it. And I think they would notice that, you know what I mean? Like if it was written wrong, did you just waste millions of dollars doing it?
I would rather have, because I mentioned like the Steel Corps Commander and the Twilight Guard, especially the Steel Corps Commander file card. It's almost like it was just written by AI. Like you give it a direction and you're like, just write some shit and we'll throw it on there. Sure. It was word salad. I would rather have that than nothing. At least you're getting something.
Yeah. So here's the problem I see with file cards and the whole argument. And it goes back to what he's saying about the adult collector. I think this kind of lends to that argument. Is there a shelf life for classified right now? And I'm like, yes, but I don't think you can define it accurately within a 5-year margin and be confident about that. But yes, there absolutely will be because of who they are targeting right now and how. They are looking for the people with the disposable income that can afford to collect and redundantly collect action figures, right? Yeah. Troop builders and all this other stuff. And purists who have to have the entire number sequence, including exclusives and cons. That's not a 25-year-old male that just finished university. Yeah. That's a 40 to 50-year-old guy who's at the peak of what money he's going to make in his career and has that disposable but accountable income. Yeah. They only get them for so long, right? And file cards and a whole bunch of nostalgia-based appeal might not be worth the long haul. I don't know, right? But I mean, they only have this time and the Skybound Entertainment to try and nail down a new market, or else this thing does have a shelf life.
Yeah, and a lot of people do say that, like it will. the form we know it in will probably die with us, and this is their chance. I think the brand will exist. Will it always be based off of the real American hero that we know and love? No, probably not. But this is their chance to, like you said, get new people interested in it. So, say you've got kids, and many of you guys do, and I still got this highlighted. Turk Murphy, I wanted that Vala Chuckles.
He's borrowing all the Chuckles stuff. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. So say you guys, a lot of you guys have kids. I don't. You're trying to get your kids into classified, and your kids are 8, 10, whatever, old enough that they can, like we were, read and interpret the most part of the file card and get the gist of the character. Do you want that, or do you want to try to explain all of who all of these guys are that we know, that we like, all of their backstory, whatever, and jumble it all up, and you got your kid going, okay, Dad, here you are lecturing me again about toy. This camouflage guy looks good. Give me that gun with him. But if you can say, here, look at this. What do you think about this guy? Do you have any questions about any of the stuff that's on here? And I can fill you in with what I know from the past.
Mm-hmm.
I loved reading the file cards when I was a kid.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, well, I don't have to go on. File cards are. Yeah. Here's the other part then. So we talked about, you got to go back and get Larry Hama, right? But why would your kid relate to Joe now? All those origins for guys like Stalker, Snake Eyes, Hawk, it's all tied to the Vietnam era. You have to rewrite the characters and update them. And then if you do that, are you upsetting our market to please the youth market? It's a tricky ground. You know what I mean? Like, as much as I want all these things in my G.I. Joe Classified collection, I know they're not there because it's willful ignorance to them being there, right?
I see that. And I don't know, it's a good way to put it. I like what Pop Blender says here. Like, I feel Hasbro thinks they have 20 to 30 more years milking us for toy sales. I mean, maybe. I think that's a hopeful estimate with the way some of us have lived and some of us continue to. I think that's a top tier will be another 30 years. But I think, like we're talking about the Energon universe, I hope it can catch on and enough people in our age bracket will latch on to it, because that is a great way to reintroduce two of your best lines to an entirely new generation.
Yeah.
And they're walking a line with it, and I think they're doing a good job. So maybe the kids, like our generation's kids, we don't have the file cards on the boxes to introduce them to the characters, but we have this new comic that we are pretty much, for the most part, on board with, and we will accept. And it's going to get passed on in that form because the toys are the designs from that comic. Mm-hmm. I think that if they're not going to do file cards or make the QR codes lead to file cards, I think that is the best that we can hope for.
Yeah. And it's like I said, I mean, you talked about Hasbro 20, 30 years on Pop's point. Well, I mean, if you think about how brand recognition is now so what it was like in the 80s or 90s for some of us, like brand recognition has always been popularized, but brand dedication is becoming something more and more finite, right? Like Xbox versus Sony, for example, right?
Yeah.
And if you think, it's not impossible to think that the impressions of what kids grow up to like might come from what their parents have praised. And I don't mean that in the most like after school special way. I mean, like, if your dad was sitting there rocking Xbox Call of Duty with you and you move out, guess what you might be wanting is your Xbox, right? Like, so when it comes to Hasbro, I think that's might be something they're trying to do as well, is get us to talk to our kids about how effing cool this is, and
Yeah.
we're complaining about an education piece that's missing.
Yeah, and that is a very valid point. I see Hasbro, like we see them being a bit greedy, and it seems like they would want to explore all avenues that they could to get everybody they have involved and not just rely on us old farts to do it. So it's a blown opportunity, but maybe they are. Maybe that is what they're banking on. I like what Same Time Toys here, Shane. Pop, we're the last toy generation. All our stuff will be worthless when we're gone. Quite possibly.
I don't know. Collecting's a niche market, and it goes up and down, right? Like it is what it is. I remember comic collecting being the most popular thing out there, and now try and find a comic book store.
Yeah, they're a dying breed. They're still out there here, but they're a dying breed. I've got one really good one near me, and a couple that are good. I just don't like them. They're the ones Spot Blender goes to. I don't like that business, but they are a good comic store. But they're used to be everywhere. You couldn't swing a dead cat without hitting a comic book store around here.
Yeah.
Joe Fan, my son, looked at Tiger Force Outback at Joe Fest, decided he wanted it really badly, went to another table, saw some scaled guns he got, and he got Desert Snake Eyes. So good on him. He's interested in it. I'm glad. I'm seeing a lot of people saying similar things. War Chest. They keep pulling the same stuff they did with the Ferret, Tiger Paw, and other figures. I'm going to start selling my collection. I'm already trading and selling extras. I've seen several people, and he follows up with, they're about to lose me as a collector if this keeps up.
Yeah.
And I've seen several people.
Yeah.
The
guy locally here who I deal with that's been helping me out, he's very much of that exact same sentiment. He's getting a little tired of jumping through hoops to stay on par with the other, parts of Hasbro collecting. So it's not an uncommon sentiment at all.
Yeah. I'm saying, like here in the last 6 weeks, probably the volume of stuff that I have seen show up in the classified community group, because there's also Jeremy Kimberlin's group. That's really the only one that I'm still in. I left all the other ones. The amount of people that I see posting stuff for sale and trade, I'm getting out of the line. I'm getting out of the line. It's not, I need a set of tires. It's not my kid needs braces. It's been like, I'm sick of this shit. And I'm just, here it is, one lump sum in a week. I'll post breaking it up. And it is because, just like War Chest said, like they make it hard for us to buy their stuff. We're trying to give you money. We want it. Like it goes back to the weaponized FOMO I always talk about.
Yes, and again, but we come full circle every time to this same point. What we say we want from a company is not always what we execute on when they give it to us, right? We line up, we say we want that, and then when they give it, we go, well, that looks really shitty. And then they lose millions of dollars in sales, or they throw it over to Ollie's to get rid of the stock. But we were asking for that. And they do it with a lot of stuff we don't ask for already. So we got to be really careful,
That's true.
That's
a fine line. Joe Fan says I mostly collect modern figures in the smaller scale, like the 25th and Collectors Club. And going to what you were just saying, Crow, I'll bring up something that it's Chad talks about quite a bit, is because he mostly collects the smaller scale, or he really only collects that smaller scale stuff. And he says it quite a bit. Like, people say they want O-rings, but nobody supports it big time when it comes out. A lot of people have said that, but I've heard him say it because that's his favorite thing to collect. And they won't go back to O-rings. I think
I don't agree. I disagree. I
You
think
think so?
Yeah, I think O-rings are fine. I think there's still a market for O-rings. Like if we look at Operation Longbow, they're going to be O-ring, aren't they? But Delta 17 is a good example. Now these aren't skyrocketing off the shelf, but they've got clout and respect, right? And they've got a marketing principle behind them.
Yep.
Go back to what we were just talking about Hasbro's got to pay attention when the voices are getting louder of collectors saying, I'm going to get rid of my line. I'm sick of this shit, right? One of the biggest problems with collecting 140 6-inch figures or box collecting it is shelf space.
Yeah.
And after getting frustrated with collecting 6-inch figures for, say, X numbers of years, selling them off, and maybe you still want to collect something, I think these gain a ton more appeal.
Oh yeah,
right?
They do. And as far as like the O-ring, you've got a Delta 17, I was really speaking more about like Hasbro with G.I. Joe brand. I mean, the 3 3/4 modern type stuff is making a bit of a comeback. There is a market for it. And I mean, I've got some Delta 17s. I love them. I just, as far as G.I. Joe, I don't think I would buy much in the way of O-ring or smaller scale stuff. Personally, I'd probably pick up one here or there because I like the way that they've done the 6-inch stuff, the detail that they can give us and all of that. But for another line that I'm new to, I'll buy that smaller stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think I bought this in a used bag, so I never saw it. I'm assuming this is the Pursuit of Cobra, probably. I'm not sure, but that's a Duke, right? And this was far beyond what I expected for miniature Joes. Like I jumped back in on classified after being O-ring as a kid.
Yeah.
You got fine articulation, fine detail. Shit, you even got little guns that come out of holsters and stuff like that. So, I mean, I can see this market coming back or being there. It's just, I think right now classified craze is too, there's too much going on right now for people to be wanting to that right now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people that are buying classified as, G.I. Joe have kind of moved on. Not everybody, and everybody will always have the love for the real American hero, the small stuff. But I feel like a lot of people aren't going to buy O-ring stuff while classified stuff is out, other than picking up a few things here or there. I don't see a lot of people that are big into classified going back and rebuying everything in a smaller scale too.
Yeah, that would be frustrating.
They just seem to, it's like what they did with the Sky Striker. Like everybody jumped on the Sky Striker because, they're going to bring back the O-rings, and then they like completely abandon it and got everybody's hopes up.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at Hiya Toys makes small scale variants of a lot of different figures. They've done classified before. I've seen Spirit, Stalker, a few others. I mean, I would curious what the demand was there among the classified community for Hiya's equivalent, but
yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, Mython's getting a bunch of those Hiya figures. He's been posting pictures of them. They look, yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. You do have a couple. They're fine, but
they're fine except pieces. I really have an issue with Hiya little tiny pieces, because like I find the hand grips, some of them don't hold them tightly. So these small little pieces kind of drop a little bit easier than what I'm used to these days. I guess I'm spoiled with 6-inch, right? So
yeah, and that's something else. Like I'm getting old. Some of the stuff that comes with the classified is small enough you might lose it in the carpet. So I really enjoy the line. I complain about it a lot, but I would not go back to mostly 3 3/4 or 4-inch myself, because I like the updates that they've done. So
you see Triple C's comment about O-ring prices?
I
think it's a valid point.
I'm looking.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah, yes, it is a good point. But and I had War Chest comment there. Yeah, back to what he said, Pulse, like membership for Pulse not meaning shit because he doesn't get the emails. By the time you get them, it's sold out.
we're back in the Trump era. So make Pulse great again.
Yeah, make Pulse great again. Like we're back in a Trump era.
Yeah, well, we're right next door, so we're in a Trump era. If you're in a Trump era.
That's
right?
true.
He's not my president, and I can say that, but
right. The O-ring figure is almost exact same price as classified, too expensive. Well, it's something that I've heard Punk say a lot. Like you're looking at a smaller company with they don't have the type of connections and they don't have the distribution. They have to pay more to get their figures made. I don't mind it if they're quality figures, and they're quality figures.
It's also the types of plastics that are being used and the price of oil and other things, right?
Yeah.
If you increase your type of plastic based on that resource like that, it's going to be a fluctuating price every year, but it's going to fluctuate up.
Right? Yeah. I saw it. Not going to read it. We hadn't went there, but I saw it. Yeah, that's the thing with most of the companies that are doing the 3 3/4 stuff is their independence or getting off the ground. So maybe if people support them and they grow, maybe they'll be able to lower some of those costs. I mean, it's possible. We've seen it done. I mean,
listen,
Bobby did it.
Actually, that's a great point you made, because I recently, when I did my review of Delta 17 as a whole there a while ago, I got reached out by Ken Poe at Toy Connections, and he was like, here's another way to approach getting these. Like, what I'm trying to get at is you're living in a different era of toy collecting now, and these smaller companies, they have new ways of protecting their product that they didn't have when we were kids. Right? They're going to hop online and have discussions with you because you went on Facebook and said something that they paid attention to.
Yeah.
Right? You didn't have that when you were a kid. No toy company was sending you a letter because you cried. Right? Like,
yeah.
So
it's it's a whole lot more personal for some of the smaller, the startups. Like if you have a problem with the figure, they might see your review. And
we've seen bigger companies, I wouldn't say the biggest companies, but even guys like Bobby Vowell, it's a big enough company, but they do the same, because in this market, that connection has to be kind of nurtured, right? Or else you're compared to Hasbro being an ignorant company kind of stuff.
Yeah,
right?
Well, an uncaring company, and
that's right.
Like he's not trying to be seen that way. Like people say what they want about him, but he cares about his customers, and I can't always say that about Hasbro.
No, in fact, it's kind of a point of circle where they kind of be like, look, you're anonymous to them, and that's why you don't get what you want, kind of thing. And it's hard to argue against that when, like we keep saying, I mean, I know Punk points us, G.I. Joe's just a slice of that pie. Who's listening that much, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Joe Fan says, I'm getting a Terradrome next month. Been saving for months. My local vintage toy store, I'm guessing, is holding it until I'm ready. That's cool. If you've never had one, that it is a fun toy. Be very careful with the tabs and with the Firebat mechanism. The chain that drives it tends to jump off, but you will enjoy the Terradrome. That was one of the best toys in the line. I had it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because it happens a lot, but wasn't Triple C waiting on a large feature that he was talking about as well? Triple C, I see in the comments, I thought you were waiting on a very large item, and I've been tied up. So did you ever get your large 3D printed item that you were waiting on?
I thought it was that's right.
I'm sorry.
It was headquarters, I think.
That's what I thought, right? But I know you had to wait a while for it, and then stuff going on with Toys for Tots, so I never did get caught up to see if he did it.
It sucks. Liquid says, try dealing with valid customer service from Canada.
Okay, but hang on, Liquid Identity. You're trying to get with Valaverse customer service for Canada, and that's where I'm at. If the communication sucks, have you tried going through their Instagram page, the customer support on there? That's all I would say is just try them from a different thing, because I knew they do have people
Yeah.
that are handling that, but I've never heard their communication back and forth, and it just kind of doesn't gel with what we've heard so far.
Yeah.
That's
And I've never had to contact them for anything, so I don't have any experience with it. I just know what I have heard other people say, and most everybody's had a good experience with it. So, yeah. So there's that. There's a pretty big difference between the bigger companies doing a $25 figure and a company like Delta 17 or Longbow, whatever, doing one. Just I'd say give them a shot, like buy one, and if you still have some kind of love for O-ring stuff, pick one of those companies and try it. The Delta 17 stuff is really good. It's really nice. And I've got some, Crow's got some.
Yeah, and guys, just other things too. Like, I think pretty much everybody here has been collecting longer than me, probably. But I mean, bear in mind there are companies out there that do have like unboxed figures. I know Val is one of them, right? Like, there are ways to buy figures even cheaper, and some companies provide those ways. Either it's damaged stock, cleared stock, unboxed stock. Check those out. Sometimes that's the difference of $10-$20 that was keeping you from buying a figure you actually really wanted, and it was available. So I
went back to, I starred Bobby's comment way back at the beginning, and we talked about it, but we didn't completely address it. What's everybody's preference, boxes or card back? And we talked about what we'd like to see on the packaging. What do you prefer, Crow?
I think card back all the way. Just because I feel like box packaging these figures, when you see them in card backing, all you need on card backing is bigger blisters, and you can still get the same amount of kit in there. I'm looking at cost reduction. If you're not going to put a bunch of money into this box to make this the most amazing box in the world, then flatten it out, because I'm just playing with the toy.
Aside from paying a photographer, it's probably more expensive to make the card back cards. With the amount of plastic that's on those new bubbles. I'm the exact opposite. I prefer the boxes.
Yeah. I love the boxes, but if I had to make the choice.
Bobby says, I love the card backs because of the nostalgia, and that's the great part about them, especially these new ones here, because it's thick card stock. They're not going to get beat up, unless they're just shoved in a shipping box or something. But just wear and tear, you get a little ding here and there. Now, the other ones were shit, but these new ones are fantastic. I love the nostalgia. I love the explosion in the background. The Viper that's coming is the digital explosion.
Yeah.
Mindbender 2.
You know what my favorite part of the retro is that they finally put that little tab at the bottom folded back with the tape over it, so you can get that figure out with a simpler cut than what you used to have to do with these things. Like, you just take the scissors, two slits at the bottom, and you can slide that whole insert out without having to jig around and get the rest of the dome off if you didn't want to, right?
And I know that's there, and I've still cut all the bubbles off of these new ones. And I know it's
nice to have that.
I'm turning it around, cutting, and I get to the bottom. I'm like, well, shit, I could have done this different. But I hang these up anyway. I keep the card back, so it's a little harder to do, or harder to stack them or whatever with the bubble on it. That's part of why I like the boxes better. They're easier to stack, except for when you got 12 different size boxes. And Pop Blender's seen my closet, so he knows how they were all nice and pretty, but then they started making way more deluxe and figures with pets, and then we got weird boxes with vehicles, and it looks like a damn Jenga board now.
And that's why, like I said, I cut mine down, but I mean, my deluxe boxes for like Serpentor or Mindbender or Chuckles, like I don't touch those boxes. They stay up on the shelf because they're nice little art pieces, right? But yeah, it's and then you get the Viper box set. This box doesn't go with anything, you know, but you've got to put it somewhere.
Yeah. So I like both. I like the nostalgia of the card backs, but I do kind of prefer the boxes because I'm not like you said with the tabs. I'm not going to tear the box up getting something out, but you can, you like the art on the retro card, so it is you have a lot more probability of tearing up the package that you like rather than just cutting one piece of tape and popping a tray out. So one other thing I do like about the card backs though is once you get it out, they're a whole hell of a lot easier to get out of that tray than they are out of these things, man. Like this, they get worse and worse trying to dig them out. So they took swapping figures to heart.
I think, besides the vice-like grip that Classified does, like these plastic sarcophagus where you feel like you're going to rip the figure in half just trying to get them out half the time.
Yeah.
But with it's I think the last ones where I was like, okay, now they're doing this on purpose to piss me off was Yabo on Naugahyde, feeding that tail through this loop for some reason. Like just these little pieces that are tucked in behind now. I'm like,
I know they got to get creative with it and make use of the bubble. So say bye to Same Time Toys, see Shane. Yeah, we're going to be wrapping up here in just a minute. You won't have too much to replay, but thanks for joining us. You've been here most of the whole time. I do like War Chest, Joy Toy Figs too. Love the Battle for the Stars. I don't have any of those. I don't know. I've seen them. Crow's got some.
Well, it's a heavy part of Wraith Mace's channel. If you're into the 40K Joy Toy, if you're not subscribed to Wraith Mace, it's a have you been listening? But I actually just ordered one of their Delta Troopers off Holodope Toys. If you guys check out Holodope, they don't have much Joy Toy, but the ones that they have are on kind of a clearance right now. So like $7 off Canadian, something like that. I think they've got about 4 or 5 left of certain ones. But if you wanted to check it, that's a good way because Joy Toy ain't a cheap toy either, really.
No, and that's the stuff looks good. It's just it's not stuff that I follow, so I like listening to other people talk about it, but it's not for me, but I like hearing and seeing stuff about it. I watch stuff about it. Did you get it? Crimson Cobra Commander, because you were going to do a video on it at some point when you got it and got it set up. So did you get it is what I think Crow was getting at. So I have one other thing that I want to bring up. Do you have any other topics or things,
no,
Crow?
I wouldn't waste another second of these people's time because I think I know what you're going to show them. Go ahead.
Yeah, because we were talking about quality control and companies making good on stuff that you have an issue with, and I did have a little bit of experience with that recently, and I was going to do a video on it, but I didn't do a video. I filmed all the parts of the video and pictures, but I may still do it. I hadn't had time to put it together yet, but I thought I'd tell you guys because I had an issue with my Ramen Racer that I got. I don't know. I've had it a few months now, a couple months anyway. So I bought probably, or what I could find was the last Ramen Racer available by an authorized retailer, by one of Ramen's partners. Like he sells through BBTS, a couple other smaller stores. Well, I found one for sale at one of the smaller stores. It was the last one available I could find anywhere, and it was pretty much for retail. Like they've gone way up on eBay and things like that. And I was actually able to find one basically for retail just with a little bit of detective work. really happy because I wasn't around for the pre-orders for it, and
Yeah.
saw all of his stuff at Joe Fest. Met Ace, great dude. So I really decided I wanted one. I ordered it. So when I got it in, as you guys might have seen, I had an issue with it. My tail lights on the right side, the racer's got 3 LEDs on each side for the tail lights, and my middle one was burnt out right out of the box. Took it right out of the box, plugged in the USB, and I had a tail light out. I didn't do anything other than unbox it. I still love it, but it was disappointing, and that thing is not cheap. So I pulled some strings to get it. So I contacted Ramen, and Ramen advised me to contact the company I bought it from. And I sent Ramen pictures. They told me to advise contact the company that I bought it from, and they would handle it through their end, getting their product back in and whatever. So I did. Contacted them. They asked me to send pictures. I sent them the same pictures that I sent Ramen, plus a couple others, because I wanted to make sure they had all they needed. And a couple days later, they got back with me and told me they'd been in touch with Ramen, and Ramen had agreed to replace my car body of the race because I had an issue right out of the box. I don't know what car body meant. I asked them. They did not know what car body meant either. Matthew says copper smashing tail lights just to pull you over like Porky's. You got a tail light out. That's a $50 fine. They do shit like that out here. At least they used to. They did when I was a kid. So it's in the works, and I'm thinking, okay, well, I don't know what car body means. I don't know if I'm going to have to take it apart. Whatever. I'll wait and find out. I've heard enough good stuff about quality control with them. They make good on fixing stuff. I was expecting, because I knew there was another round of Ramen racers coming. I thought whatever they sent me was going to be out of that. Wasn't, too worried about it. They told me it's coming from China. It's going to take time. I was not expecting a solution to this until sometime next year. And I was fine with that as long as they stayed in touch with me. I got an email last week asking me to confirm my address. Said, is this still a valid address for you? I said, yes, that's still my address. Thank you for following up. The next day, I got an email saying my item has shipped. And I'm thinking, wow, they've already gotten the replacement from China, and they've got it on the way to me. And again, this whole thing, it's been maybe 2 months I've had it, something like that. And I'm excited. So it gets here. I was actually out of town Saturday when it got here. So made arrangements, got it brought in. I'm looking at the tracking, and it weighed almost 9 pounds. Like that's a heavy whatever the body is. And I'm thinking I'm getting instructions on how to take this thing apart, whatever, talk to Crow about it. And he told me, sounds like they sent you a whole other car.
Yep.
I said, well, surely not. That is exactly what they did. The one that you see, and I'm going to put myself on large screen, if you guys ever pay attention, my racer sits on the shelf up here, and I usually turn the headlights on for streams. I turned it around, so I have the tail lights on. As you can see on the right side, I've got 3 tail lights that are lit up. So that is the one that they sent me. This is my original that I bought, that I got from the company. And the difference was their definition of the car body is they sent me the car body. Ramen sent me an entirely new car except for the center caps that come separately, the USB that plugs in to it, the gas cap, it's over here because this is my original one, the gas cap, the front chrome bumper, and these two pieces that hold the bumper on. That, aside from that, that is how Ramen made good on quality control. Was they sent me an entirely freaking new Ramen Racer minus those parts. So I have to take those few parts off of my old one and put on the new one. I hadn't done it yet. So that's why I turned it around so you can see the tail lights for the one they sent me.
Mhm.
But if anybody's got any questions about supporting some of these smaller companies that are getting up and getting going and how they like to try to make their customers happy, I've talked about the, Ramen a good deal because I've ordered some more of their stuff. I've got a racer or Rev van. I ordered the tank,
Mhm.
and I saw it. Oh, that was loud. I saw it, I saw it at Joe Fest. I think the quality's there. So I had an issue and they took care of it in like the best imaginable way that a company could do customer service. So I say this because we were talking about smaller companies that want to please their customers. I can't really say enough good things about the way Ramen handled that. No, I thought I would need to send my other one back. They've said nothing about that. I would, fine with me. But that was how they handled it. Was they sent me the whole car minus like 6 parts that are packaged separately. So the car body was a whole car. So if anybody's got any doubts about quality or anything with those guys, that's how they handle stuff. So, they might stumble, but they're going to take 2 steps up when they come back. And that's kind of how some of these 3 3/4 figures are. They really want to do customer service. So that was my story on the racer. So now I've got a kind of stripped down one.
I thought that was a great story, Darren, because it's. I was thinking about that last night when we weren't sure if you were going to tell everybody tonight or not about it. But it was. If you think about how many people complain about the wait for toys to come release, like I ordered it and it's still a year out, like a HasLab or something, or even Gridiron taking a month to order between orders or whatever, right? It's these little things that kind of balance that out. It's like, yeah, you're going to take almost a year to get the tank out to everybody, but we've seen how you manage it if this ain't going to be good. And it's reassuring, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've got no qualms about any of the stuff that I've got ordered with them or ordering with them in the future. So just wanted to tell that story and get that out there from my point of view. And the company that I ordered it from was Toy Stalker. It's STLKR. They're an online toy store. Just like, hella dope. They're not a huge company. They're a smaller company. I'm dealing with probably the owner. They were very good, very easy to work with, and they have some stuff that you cannot find anywhere else. So trade secret, not going to gatekeep it. So check those guys out if there's something that Hella Dope does not have. Go check them out.
Yeah, and Darren, I'm going to draw your eyes to your cousin right now because he did something really cool, and I want to congratulate Triple C for hitting 300 subscribers today. And I want to thank Pop for his part of that.
Yeah, I saw he had said earlier that he was a couple away. Congratulations, buddy. I'm happy for you. And Pop, I guess, was the one that put you over the top. So he's got some good content on his channel. And if you like to see a bunch of different stuff, a bunch of variety of toys, yeah, check out Crimson Cobra Commander because he's posting something just about every day that he's opening and playing with. So congratulations.
And I think that's something that's never going to change about the backyard battlefield, no matter what we're looking like or how we're looking. Is we're fine cheering for you guys. Like we need to cheer for you guys because that's the stuff like that. It means something to us too, right? Like it meant something every milestone we crossed. So we're cheering for you guys. So yeah, like I wouldn't say never. You can talk about having channels. We're not going to tell you not to plug your channels, but if you are just one away or two away from subscribers, don't feel like you got to keep that to yourself. There's guys in the chat that want to hook you up, right? So.
Yep, definitely. We're all about supporting because everybody pretty much that hangs in here is and follows us, each of us, and all started around the same time, some later than others or whatever, and we're all starting from scratch. You got to start somewhere, and we're all in the same little fellowship community, so we got to help each other up, and that's one way that we're going to do it is call attention to some of our fellow fellowship members.
That's right.
I got one other thing that I want to bring up, and we're going to get out of here. We've run way over what we were going to, but I don't mind. So long as I get everything said before the Ambien I just took starts working. Where's Eric Thurman? Where's Eric Thurman when I need him? Yeah. So backyard battlefield here. It's changed a little bit. Not going to go into any great lengths about it. You guys have seen things that have kind of transpired and whatever. So I have been in contact and had conversation, and everything on that end is okay. Backyard battlefield will go on with this name, and Crow and I have had some discussion on what we'll do for having somebody else on with us. Saw a lot of suggestions the other night, and we've talked about them. We've all just about arrived at what we think we're going to do and how we're going to handle that. So we're going to have to have some more discussion about it. But as soon as we get it streamlined and nailed down what we're going to do going forward, we will let you guys know. And if you did notice, I did change the intro, and there's a question mark there for a reason. Mm-hmm. And we will let you guys know as soon as we get it nailed down, but the battlefield will go on.
I should probably speak to that because, guys, it was my issue between me and Aaron the Toy Enhancer, and it remains between me and him, but it's going to get resolved, and it's the only issue there. I don't wish the guy any it's not like that. It should be mentioned that he had other visions for what he wanted to do as well. So I'm going to wish him the best of luck to that. And we're, I apologize to you, the subscribers, if anything put you in a spot where you might not have felt comfortable over the last couple of days, but those days are done and we're ready to move on.
Yep. And me and Aaron are on good terms. I may appear on a stream with Aaron whenever he gets his format and his schedule back up the way that he wants it. And when he has everything settled with what he's doing and where he's at, I may show up on stream with Aaron. So, if he invites me, I'll be on one with him if I can be. I got no ill will toward Aaron. We're still cool. And I wish him all the success in the world. So if anybody's got any questions, message me. It may be something I can or will answer. I'm not going to drag it out here, but just wanted to let you guys know a little bit of how things have kind of shook out, but Battlefield's still going to be here. We appreciate all you guys tuning in and listening and contributing to the chat, helping us out, and we're going to help you out as much as we can. So that's really all I've got. If you hadn't hit that like button, I'd appreciate you take a moment and do that. Or if you're on the replay squad, feel free to leave a comment, try to answer those. I won't answer anything we just talked about in comments. So send me a message or an email. The email is in the description of the channel. So other than that, Crow, what do you got coming up anytime soon?
Still trying to close out some Wolverine Deadpool reviews on these new Logan head variants that we're getting. Tired, drunk, and all the other expressions he did in the movie.
Yep.
And waiting out to see what Hasbro throws our way. That's about it. You?
Not a whole lot. If I do a video on this racer, it will be this weekend, but I don't think I've got anything else coming in. If I finally ever get these Cobra Infantry guys open, I might do a review on them. I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't done those either yet for some strange reason.
Yeah, I just that loose torso, and then you and Punk talked me into going ahead and getting another one, and I did, and I still haven't opened either one of them. So,
now you're mad at us.
So yeah, I'm gonna send you guys each a bill for $28.40. It's what they cost here.
Just remember,
with,
Punk's gonna just tell you APWT, and you're taking 10% off that.
Yeah, right. He'll have to pay it in the end anyway. So, so other than that, guys, I appreciate everybody for tuning in, and we will see you guys in 2 weeks. And never know, might have somebody else here. I don't know. We'll see. Let's see what's going on. So that's all I got, guys. I'm gonna run the intro/outro one more time. Thanks again, and we'll see y'all next time.
Cheers.
See y'all.